And we're live. Hello.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you came back just in time. You
Yeah.
got right.
Whoops.
All right. Welcome to another Ancapistani Lounge. Crow is with me today. Anyone else coming in is gonna be late, but that's all right. Late arrivals are always okay with me.
Hmm.
Um. So today's topic: parenting, peaceful parenting, and how children would grow up in an anarchic society.
Hmm. And so,
Faithless,
oh,
Faithless Berserker brought up this topic, and I'm like, okay, why not? Should
hmm.
be interesting.
Yeah. Nah, that and I actually have heard about four main parenting styles that are currently used in psychology, and these would be important to discuss as part of this topic.
Good, good.
So, based on what I remember in the psychology classes I've taken about parenting styles, there's four main ones, and they, so far as if I remember right, these are the four that by their names: authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and negligent. And out of those four, the
Negligent is obviously the worst one.
yes, and authoritarian is on the other end of it.
Yeah, that's
Also,
the other
it's
extreme.
the other extreme. So, out of all of those four, there's only two that are well, one is considered the best, and then the other can work well with it.
Yeah.
In this case, authoritarian is considered best, and permissive is not considered the best, but could still work.
hmm Well, I think I was raised mostly. I wouldn't say my parents were authoritarian. They were actually fairly lenient.
Hmm. So most likely, what, permissive, authoritative?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately, I do see a few hints in there where my parents have been authoritarian.
Hmm.
Not nearly as bad as uh, I've heard about other parents, but especially amongst ANCAPs. But still, I
hmm
can definitely see a few hints of it, of the authoritarian style, or in this case, basically being super controlling of your kids.
Yes. That's just no. I
Yeah,
think I think that getting super strict around kids is not necessary because like spying and uh looking at everything they do and not trusting that they would be able to do
well,
any good on their
yeah.
own.
Well, not to mention that they also have a condition. They also have their psychologists do have their name for that particular style, that particular habit of parents just watching their kids' every move.
Mhm.
Helicopter parenting,
Yeah.
or in other ways,
Hovering.
I would consider that just one of the one of the various ways to be. Yeah, it's just one of the methods of the authoritarian parenting style.
Mhm. What other methods are there?
Well, there's being abusive,
Yeah.
and so you could be abusive. You can do the helicopter parenting style. Helicopter parents.
What about sending them to boarding school?
Sending them to boarding school against their will. Well, yeah, that again is part of that
Yeah.
would all part of it.
Yep. For some families, statism starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
for many families.
Nearly all of them.
Mm-hmm. And I think I liked an example in allowing kids to want to learn things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, make sure there's plenty of books around the house.
Mm.
Child safe.
Mm.
Um, encouraging children to ask questions. Um, teaching them critical thinking skills, helping with that, like
That,
early.
yeah, basically, teaching kids how to think for themselves
Yeah,
would be part of the authoritative parenting style.
interesting. Oh, I see we got Victor in here. Yay.
Mm. Welcome, welcome to the live stream, Victor.
Yep, welcome. Yeah, it's our friend from Sweden.
Mm. Yeah, unfortunate place that is.
Hmm.
Rape capital of the West now.
Uh,
Uh, anyway, back to the parenting stuff.
yeah. Um. All right. Um. I think under peaceful parenting, in most cases, you won't have to raise your voice.
And that is a characteristic of the at least authoritative parenting style.
Hmm. What's the
Authoritarian.
difference?
Oh, what's
What's
the
the
difference?
difference between authoritative and authoritarian?
Authoritative tends to be a lot more about teaching. Authoritarian is where the parent becomes a dictator. I like seriously. It authoritative
Mm-hmm.
does a with it can come a little. They tend to steer kids towards something,
Uh huh.
while the authoritarian is where you push them, where you push kids towards things
Yeah.
instead of letting the kid have a little bit of leeway and determining their own pace.
Yeah, it's very disrespectful to just push them into things, especially when they don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all right. And I think it's important to have trust in your own children.
And that really is the way for a child to then develop trust in their parents, is
Yeah.
if the parents deliver the trust first.
Yeah. It depends on like part of a core element to an individual's background is whether or not the household they grew up he or she grows up in is peaceful or not.
Mm.
Peace under peaceful parenting. Well, if the child is not living in a peaceful household, then how he treats anyone else outside the family would likely be no different to how um, he or she is treated within the family.
Mm-hmm. Basically, yeah, the kind of character that a child will become usually starts at the home.
Yes, indeed.
Or in other words,
It's it should
yeah.
be like self-evident.
Hmm.
Sorry, you were saying?
Well, that and currently with public education, that tends to keep kids away from the home a lot, and that
Yeah.
also that I think also kind of affects a kid's personality as well.
Yep. And just look at today's education and how degraded it's become, and degraded and degenerate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Case in point, the 11-year-old who should not be named, otherwise this thing gets shut down.
Oh,
Yeah. Nope. Don't name.
yeah.
Don't mention his name because
I
I've
think
heard
I
of
know who you're
movies where they
talking
do that.
about.
Mm-hmm.
The really degenerate stuff that he does, which should
Mm.
be adult things.
Yeah, the kid really shouldn't. He really should be put up for adoption at that point.
Yeah, I hear that
Yep,
Child Protective Services have investigated into his family.
they have, and I think they got bought because they just let it be. They were just said, "Nope, he's good."
Mm,
When it's obvious it's not okay.
no. Yeah, under anarchy and an anarchic society, voluntarist society, there would be it would be highly unlikely to let children want or promote or even let children want to get into that stuff.
And if they do, that would be weird.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
really weird and just wrong.
mm, yeah. And
Yeah.
besides, so far as this case goes, for that poor kid, it doesn't. It looks like manipulation to me.
Yeah, he
When
was
it's
likely groomed into the whole thing.
mm-hmm.
Hi, Sarah. Sarah, we're talking about peaceful. Oh, she left. Maybe she'll come back.
Mm, perhaps.
Um, all right. So, oh, over and over again, we are wrongly assumed to even allow that sort of grooming and um, behavioral conditioning to happen.
Mm,
And for an 11-year-old like that to even want to get into that sort of profession, if you can call it that,
mm,
it's very, very unlikely. And people wrongly assume there there's been a bunch of people definitely a certain few that I won't will mention won't really mention, um just some garbage trolls and such that
mm.
wrongly assume that we'd be into that, that Nambla wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Nambla wouldn't exist in a voluntarist society.
Mm,
Yeah, and look at who is going to government to keep them afloat, to keep them to want to abolish age of consent law.
mm,
And NAMBLA has been around at least since the early 90s. I found this out from a little thin paperback titled Behind the Gay Agenda, How the Gay Lobby is Targeting Children. I think that's what the title is called.
mm.
It's a very informative and also unsettling read. It's not a very long book at all. It's like very thin. It's sort of like a pamphlet.
Hmm.
And the group that put out this book was an organization on of Americans who wanted to put the truth out there about homosexuality. I think it's a Christian group.
Hmm.
Yeah, and this book was it came out in either 92 or 93. And through that book was when I first heard about NABLA. And oh boy, you are going to be unsettled if you dare to look at
Hmm.
NABLA's website. I still unfortunately remember the article titled "If Dolphins Can Do It, then why can't we?" or something like that. Oof. Um. Anyway, yeah. I personally don't like this subject. It's very
Hmm.
controversial, very unsettling subject. It's why I prefer to say very little about it. But I still want to do my completely honest take on it. I think I'll do it in a blog entry. Don't really want to go off topic just to
Hmm.
do that.
Uh,
Not in here, but I'll just do a separate blog entry about it
hmm.
and on these wrong assumptions. Um, I wish I could get Liberty Unschooled back.
Hmm.
He would be great. He would be a great person to talk to on this subject about peaceful parenting. Remember him? He
Uh,
was on here once.
hmm. I don't think I
Liberty
met him.
Unschooled. I had him on here once because he's a veteran, but he also mentioned that he's been a parent for at least 10 years.
Hmm.
I think it was a couple of years back when we had him on.
Yeah, I don't think I watched those vids back then.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think you were here back then.
Nope, I'm still pretty new as an anarchist.
Yeah, yeah. But I think you're coming along quite well,
Hmm.
quite consistent,
Hmm.
and dedicated to and promoting the message of all voluntary interactions.
Hmm.
And yeah. Hi, Mag.
Hey, I didn't realize you sent the link, so I'm here now.
Yeah, hey. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we're talking into the topic of peaceful parenting and how children would grow up and live in more voluntarist society.
Mm.
Yeah, we already covered a little bit on a very controversial subject we don't like talking about much at all.
Hmm.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. Um. So and pointed out that anyone who assumes that we allow that sort of thing to happen around children, to you know,
Yeah, the
be,
whole what if the child consents though?
yeah,
That's bullshit.
yeah.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, and abusive
What?
families that would be very unlikely in a voluntarist society
Oh
because
yeah.
abusive parents they do not respect the self ownership of the child.
Mhm.
Which is made apparent in there's like even a unique parenting style that's that type of parenting is named after. It's called authoritarian. How at well,
Yeah.
that's quite the name for such a nasty parenting style.
Hmm. You also mentioned authoritative.
Which, yeah, is definitely a lot. It's not quite the same. It's
Hi,
definitely a
Night Shift.
Yeah.
Hey,
You
Cap Kitty,
guys,
what's up?
you guys. Oh, hi.
Hey,
You
everyone.
guys might. You guys might have gone over it, but what about for the teaching style? I don't know if you call it like teaching style, but like say for example, when you punish your kids, would you agree in physically harming them, like some
D-
parents do?
disciplining them.
Yeah.
It's God, that's a mixed barrel. I don't know that I am against violence myself, but I mean, I don't know. It's a God. It depends on who you ask. I personally wouldn't do it myself, though. But
No.
yeah.
And FYI, the reason why I'm asking is because we're talking about like abusive parenting and freedom, and within anarcho-capitalism and how it would work, and the fact that it would not happen. And yeah,
Right.
that's why I asked that question. And for me, I would say no. Oh, but it does kind of depend on what the kid did. If it was something really, really severe, I could see that happening. But in the sense of like that's the way you would punish your kids normally, no, I wouldn't do it myself. What do you guys say?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mag.
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you for posting that video of the computer game footage. Yeah, that pretty much that's pretty much proof right there that I mean, if the computer game scenarios are basically proving our point as ANCAPs, then there's not much more to say.
Yeah. For people who don't know, there was this one YouTuber that played like this game that was like you can make your own government and whatnot. And in one version, the first episode, he made a socialist society, and then he did one that was the complete opposite, which was anarchy society, and it went so much better.
Yes,
No, I think I know what you're talking about. I think our friend Golden Dash, he was sharing it in Hangouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the title of this video real quick. I'll put this in the link section. I don't really want to go into that since I'll be going off topic. We don't want to go too off topic here.
Yeah, and I'll watch that on my own time anyway.
It was called "I Built a City of Lawless Anarchy, and This Happened." City
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
Which City State's a really good game.
No, yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Victor.
So you can hear me?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
Yes. Good.
All right. Anything you want to say on the main topic?
The one about like child porn. No, wait. In pedophilia. Or the one of.
And that's only a side topic.
That's only a side. What is the main topic?
The main topic is parenting styles and how it would work in anarchic society.
Sorry.
Yes, I have one thought about that, and that is, do you think children should choose their own parents, be able to choose their own parents, and I mean, choose who they should take care of, or do you think they are too young to be able to make such a decision?
Maybe
market.
Maybe they're too young. I don't know. I mean, I've always heard the saying, you can choose your friends, you can't choose your family.
And it kind of also, there's two things I could see from that. Is the fact that when you're too young, and then when, say, for example, when you become a teenager, all you want to do is just not be around your family, and you dislike pretty much everything about with your family, the rebellious teen stuff. So I'm gonna say no, because most, like say for example with me, I didn't really like my family for the longest time. But then now as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate with my family, and I've learned to enjoy the small moments of happiness that we've grown to have over the years. And I've grown a good bond on with me and my brothers and whatnot, and brother. So I would say no, just because in a normal family sense, even if you don't like them now, you're going to eventually grow to like them, even with your sibling that you just can't stand. And one other kind of question I have how would, I think it's called child services, how would that be played, or would it not be? Because honestly, I can't stand them. They're so bad.
Yeah, child protective services in particular. They're more like child kidnapping service.
Yeah.
about 90% of the time, that's pretty much what it is. I gotta admit.
I mean, like, for like some extreme examples, I could see why it exists and whatnot, but they need to have a better system for when they're going to do that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they've been bombarding my family for as long as I can remember. My parents are not that bad, so I don't know what the fuck. They've tried taking me away from my family since the time I was like 6 years old for some stupid shit. And what's so funny is, like, I remember my dad said to where, like, they want to tell me how to parent when they're only like 26 years old. So, like, F off. I know that's not really part of the main point, but it has to go with children and whatnot. So that's why I wanted to ask. So,
about age of consent. Would it be like reasonable for that to be to happen after puberty?
That's kind of a difficult question, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
My view on that is that I do believe, like, it would be somewhere like after puberty because you're starting to learn more about it, but it would have to do with the fact of A, how much you know of the thing that you're getting into, and B, my main thing would just have to be if you know what you're getting into and you can and you are able to maturely, consciously choose to, yes, I know what I'm getting into and I am consenting. If you do not understand, if you don't really have enough mentality to really know what's going on, and that can even go for people who are like 18 years old. For me, I didn't know a lot of stuff when I was younger, or unfortunately I got fucked over with it more ways than I want to say. So I would say it would have to do more with the fact that if the kid knows what he's getting into and can maturely understand and choose to consent, I would say yes after like when you're after like puberty and whatnot. But if you're not, then I'm going to say no. So that'll have to go situation based.
Yeah,
that's my kind of take on it.
Results may vary.
Yeah, depending on the individual's personality, what's going on, and how well they are educated on what they want to get into, and who's responsible.
Well, that's
which is
how
one
it is
thing
with everything.
I will always hate. One thing I always hate that parents don't do nowadays is the fact that they don't teach their kids about sex, and they have to have like a school system do it, even though they don't.
That's
so, like,
wrong.
You know,
that's the wrong way to go about it. Have the school do it.
In the ass. You want them to get scarred because they're not learning heck.
Yeah.
It's too awkward for you. It's less awkward.
Isn't that what parents
get their
for?
lives fucked over?
Well, I don't think
what parents are for.
I don't think for most children as young as pre-K and kindergarten, they don't need to have sex education.
Well, no.
Yeah. Tell that to queer kid stuff.
Yeah.
No. But like I would say, as you're starting to get older, you should start learning more stuff about it. Unfortunately, for my case, my parents never taught me, so I didn't learn. Like, I didn't know even what like most. I kind of joked to the fact that I grew up like under a rock where I didn't know a lot of stuff. I knew barely anything until I got into high school, which was not the greatest time.
Yeah.
No, same.
But one thing I also kind of want to put with that is the fact that like and just because I'm saying this for like how the way it is nowadays, if we're gonna like teach our kids like on most stuff, can we not teach political stuff and let them choose on their own?
Yes.
That's a good sentiment, but
we should allow them to learn it on their own.
Yes, to learn most subjects on their own, if not all.
Stuff like that, if you're teaching like I remember like teachers would always say to me like, oh, are you just a conservative just because of the fact that like your parents were and whatnot, because they believe the fact that, oh, you parents are teaching this kid stuff since they were little, so that's why they believe in it, even though I chose it back in the day on my own choice, not because of my parents.
All right,
And the same thing could even go
where's
with
that
religion
background
as
noise
well.
coming from?
I heard a crinkle.
Yeah, what's that background noise?
Sorry.
All right.
All right. All right, Meg, you want to finish off what you were saying?
Yeah, actually, I do have a question. How would you, let's say, for example, I'm a Christian, and let's say, for example, I have kids. Should I wait to teach them about religious stuff, or should I teach them at a younger age, like the way my parents did? How should religion be taught within kids? Just in your opinion.
That's a tough one. I don't know. I'm the same as you. I was raised in a religious household, and it took me literally like 30 years before I became an atheist. But I don't know. I mean, if your children are smart enough to make their own decisions, they'll make their own decisions.
Yeah. I would say if they like ask questions, and I'll teach them, but like I'm not gonna like shove it down their throat and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I do. I would like teach them a little bit of it just so they're open to it, but I'm not gonna like shove it down their throat and hate them if they don't like it.
Right.
Like my father did.
Right. All right. I just checked the live chat on the YouTube channel. We got Magnus 4G63, my good friend there. He says, I peacefully parent the crap out of my kid. It flows naturally, and she is so happy and caring. Could not be happier that I discovered a philosophy and freedom before becoming a parent. And Jeff Baum says, hello. Hello to you too. Thank you for coming back. I'm glad you're here, Magnus. I'm really glad. Yeah, I remember you telling me that you've recently become a parent and not quite as active on YouTube, and that's understandable. Jeff Baum, he says he became agnostic when he was 8, maybe. His mom wanted him to go to church, but this stuff confused him totally.
I remember in my household, keep in mind, I live within like a very strict Catholic house, so I'm just gonna put that for context. I remember when my brother and I were going into like middle school and now, and he was going through really hard times, and he was debating why like God was doing this stuff to him, and eventually he became like an atheist and whatnot. And my dad flipped his shit. He got so fucking mad. And like, okay, like your children don't have to like. I can understand to where you may be like a little disappointed in it, but like you shouldn't flip your shit over the fact that your kid's choosing to do something on his own choice, even if he chooses to do something later in life. If he understands what he's doing and thought about it and chooses not to do what you're doing or chooses to do stuff within his own actions, why are you hating him?
Yeah.
Well, and my thing is that my religious experience was I was raised very Christian, raised Baptist Christian actually, but my thing is like I always felt like I was a closeted atheist. It was kind of like, how gay people always say, I always knew I was gay. I just I was keeping it down. Yes, and my thing was I was always kind of a closeted atheist. I wanted to believe in what I was taught. I wanted to believe that the whole thing was real, but part of me was just saying, Daniel, this is reality. This is reality. That stuff does not happen in reality. And so, I mean, that was kind of my thing. That's kind of what turned me against it. And I'm actually happier now. I'm actually happier now the way I am. So
I don't want to get like too far into the like religious stuff because that's not what the stream is. But the only thing I'm going to state, my only thing I'll just state is I do believe in God, but I hate the way the church teaches it. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so Magnus has a little girl, and she's going to be 3 soon.
Aww.
Nice.
Aww.
I want a baby girl.
Mhm.
I've always wanted a baby girl since I was little, but I was smart enough to realize that's a lot of work and that's a lot of money. I should wait until
Yeah.
I'm older.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, and time, and dedication, and
Yep.
compassion.
But I've always loved the idea of being a stay-at-home mom. I want to do that one day so bad, but I know that I obviously can't right now, and I don't want to do that right now.
No, if I ever have children, big if, I know, but if I ever have children, I definitely want to have a son first and then a daughter.
Yeah, I've seen most guys they'll want they'll definitely want the son and then the daughter, but I've seen some guys want the daughter too.
All right. Jeff Baum says, I think a child also has to decide this kind of question by himself. So if they ask, answer. If not, then they aren't interested in it, and you should let them be in peace. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment.
What is he talking about, though?
What kind of question are you talking about, Jeff? Is it the religious? Is it about religious related?
I just remember for the kid choosing the parent thing, one reason also why kids not that they fortunately shouldn't get a say but basically you choose your friends, not your family and whatnot. I remember when I was younger, I was so different from my family and whatnot. I used to believe I was adopted in some stuff. I know that was stupid, but
Jeff Baum replies, religion and kids to yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what I figured. About religion.
Kind of on the something else I kind of just thought of, if there was I have 2 questions. One, how would how can I phrase it? Would incest be a part of would that happen in anarcho-capitalism? And if it would, how would it be how would
that happens now. That
yeah,
happens
I know
now,
that it
pretty
happens
openly.
now. I'm just saying, how would that be, I guess, resolved, or how would that
I can't think of any
out in anarcho-capitalism or what? God, I can't speak.
That again is a hard one. That's a hard one. I can't think of any resolution for that. I mean,
Hold on.
I can't think of any
Continue
resolution for that, really.
Yourselves and stuff.
We're alone, I think.
I don't really have I don't. It was just something I just thought of right now, but I don't really have too much to really say. I don't know how that would go down either.
Yeah, that's a tough issue. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I would say something if there was it was totally non-consensual one. I will say towards that, but but I don't really have too much to say. I asked because I legit didn't know. My words are not coming out of my mouth today.
Okay, touch the sky. Oh crap! Now I've got one of those songs in my head. I got a song stuck in my head.
As my mom would say, do you have a jitterbug?
Sort of, yes.
I know I'm kind of late to ask this, but how's everyone Tuesday? It's Tuesday, right? No, Thursday.
It's Thursday.
I always get the T's mixed up. It's the second T, so I always think it's the 2, but it's not. I've always hated that.
Oh my gosh.
So how's your day?
Yeah, I get that. Oh.
Class got canceled for me, so yay! Except
nice.
when I had to wake up early this morning. But at least I got to be here. I get to be with my papa. I have my papa.
So.
Look at my papa.
Oh yeah, the puppy dog. Puppy doggo.
Her name is Cookie because she looks like an Oreo.
Mm-hmm.
Before anyone says a dog can be named Oreo, shut up.
Noah the Spoony when Antwire's name is Oreo, or his dog's name is Oreo.
Nice.
Yeah.
The pound came with the name Cookie, so we just kind of stuck with it. Do we have other subjects to go on? I don't know if we have anything else to talk about with this particular subject.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are talking about a speculation, so we have no idea what specific parenting styles would work best in an anarchist society.
Yeah.
Not to mention that individual people learn better with different parenting styles.
Well, yeah, also. Well, that's kind of the hard thing to do with it, is the fact that every parent is going to have like their own way of teaching, because of the fact that no parent is perfect when they start out, but they're going to learn, hopefully, from their mistakes. It can grow different parenting styles as they're learning and growing with their kid as well. No parent knows exactly how to teach their kid right as they have it. And so they're going to learn over time, and maybe you develop their own parenting style or develop different stuff as they're starting to get older. Or I shouldn't say what, as they're developing with the... I can't...
Take your time. It's all good.
Journey with the kid. And different things will work for different children. If for example, one thing will work with a really energetic kid, and that same thing wouldn't work for a very calm or like very like a very calm and quiet kid. So it kind of depends on the kid itself as well, which is why you develop the parenting style as you're getting older. Why do I keep saying older? As you're raising the kid.
Yep.
But I think there's still kind of the unique thing of you always most parents want to make sure that their kid is safe. They want to make sure their kid is happy and smart and whatnot. But you shouldn't push your kids into staying.
Generally speaking, yes.
I'm saying the word generally, or a hope.
Yeah, because there are some parents that.
Oh, trust me, I'm aware that there are some parents that don't give a damn. I remember this is based off of my personal experience, but from what I've seen, parents who either they don't really care about their kids and whatnot, or are basically giving up on their children and are buying other stuff instead of just helping with their kids. I've seen they're really sad and depressed, and they didn't really want to have kids, so they're doing other stuff to try to fill in a void, or they're hurting their kid because in actuality they're upset with themselves, and the only person they can take their anger out is their kid. And that's based off my personal experience. What do you think?
That is unfortunate. That's an unfortunate situation for anyone to be in. I know that.
No, yeah.
Wow, there's lots of noise where I am. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's same here. And stupid construction trucks.
Yep. Cars are passing me by.
I remember, I guess it's a bit of a story. I remember when I was younger, I didn't hate my childhood, but I do definitely remember my mom was hosting a lot more of my brother and whatnot. And I remember how I didn't realize this at the time, but she was really unhappy for a long time. So she would buy stuff for hobbies. She would get into stuff that wasn't really the greatest. And she probably spent as much money for both me and my brother to go to private school, but she spent it on herself. And keep in mind, she didn't make money. My dad did. So.
Oh, that's messed up. That is messed up.
Ew.
No, you don't. When you become a parent, you don't do shit like that. You do not do that to your kids.
Yep.
You give your kids the best opportunity they can.
You shouldn't do that to your husband or your significant other, first off.
Yeah,
and
right?
Then, yeah, you
exactly.
shouldn't do that either.
Wow.
Yeah. I turned out okay in the end, though.
Yeah, you did actually. That's pretty cool that you turned out the way you did.
The good thing I can say that what my mom did was the fact that she hated like baby talk and whatnot, and she always she would treat me as my age. So, like, say for example, if I was 4 years old and I slipped and whatnot, she would of course let me cry, and she would be like, she would like, give me a band-aid or whatever not. But she wouldn't like, talk to me like as a little baby that just hurt herself a little bit. She would treat me as my age,
Right.
And so because of that,
Right.
I grew up a lot more mature than other kids because they were talked as a baby when like.
Mm-hmm.
To still like the present day, shut up phone. To like the to still then. Shut up, phone.
I love it.
We have a house phone and it pisses me off because no one uses it. No one answers that shit. It's just.
I didn't even know house phones were made anymore.
Oh, it's not. This house is from like the 50s and it came with the house.
Oh, gotcha.
Woo. But that is the fact that there is no installation in these walls, which means A, it's cold as heck at night, and B, you can hear literally everything in the house because the walls are so freaking thin. I've seen it because we've had to do construction and open up the walls. Yeah, there is no installation in this house except for what we added on.
Oh my.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But my room's right next to the heater, so I'm okay.
Just imagine if you had to deal with that only in a much colder state like Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, you have freaking snow. I'm just in the Bay Area. I have nothing to complain about.
Vermont. Imagine it in Vermont or Minnesota.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Well, or even worse.
Very what?
Cold.
I could say for your scenario, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, imagine it in northern Alaska.
Oh God,
that would be horrible.
I mean, no, you want to know what's bad? Most people don't expect this, but it actually is. Being in the desert during winter, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cold,
yeah, right.
Especially since you're not used to it, because you're used to really hot. And I was there, and yeah, you're not used to the heat. If you're going over there and you're not used to heat, imagine them for winter times because of the fact that like they don't retain the heat unlike other areas, so it's really cold at night.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't expect the desert to be cold, but yeah, it's cold.
Yep, it gets cold at night.
Yep. But luckily, I have my Chihuahua that's like a freaking heater. So, I guess I'll ask again. Do we have any other? Jesus Christ, Doc. Do we have any other like topics to talk about? Who's eating a fucking McDonald's?
Huh?
It sounds like that's the wrapping of the McDonald's burger. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Oh, one thing I just remembered was Jesus Christ. Do you think it's true or not true that kids copy their parenting styles of their parents? Like they copy their same mistakes.
Absolutely. Undoubtedly.
Yeah. I think it's true, but also to a certain degree, I think that it's not true. Well, because of the fact that if you let's say for example, your parents neglected you, so you want to make sure you don't neglect your kids, so you don't.
Yeah,
so you can learn from your parents' mistakes, but I've seen more times than not, kids copy their same parents' mistakes. Maybe that's how tradition starts.
Yep.
Or they go to extremes to avoid their parents' mistakes, which is
and
not
then
good
they end
either.
up doing it.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
I mean, maybe there's a reason why they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly. Hey, Sarah.
I know one thing that's different for me.
Hello,
is
Sarah.
Hey. I know one thing that's different for my family is my grandparents and pretty much everyone else in my family except my dad and me, or everyone else is pretty much socialist in my family. And then my dad's a conservative, borderline, just pretty much a capitalist. Because I've talked to him, he just doesn't want to fully admit everything. And then you got me. But I guess that kind of what's kind of sad is the fact that everyone in my family is pretty much either a leftist or pretty much a socialist. And I'm Italian, so it doesn't help because we literally created it, and it makes me sad. I am sorry, I've killed hundreds of people. No, I haven't.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, Marianne.
Hi, Marianne. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Welcome back. Jeez.
Thank you.
All right, so
Hi, I'm Mag. I've not
all right.
met you
So
before.
what's everyone talking about right now?
Nothing.
How Italians
really.
created fascism or something?
Okay. How did that stem from?
Rabbit holes after rabbit holes after rabbit holes. Go with that.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, we started by trying to, talking about the possibility of kids mimicking their parenting style, the parenting style of the parents.
Hmm.
Yeah, I asked, do kids make the same parenting mistakes as their parents and whatnot, or do they do their same mistakes? And I think yes and no, it depends.
Yeah, it does depend. Children, especially at a very, very young age, they're very impressionable.
Yeah.
And their minds are like sponges. So you got to make sure that they absorb
as much as they
normal and healthy information, beneficial knowledge, than the opposite of all that.
Yeah, I wish I had that.
Yes.
You gotta have a healthy sponge minds.
Yep.
Yeah. Every time I keep hearing like children brains are like sponges, I always hear that metaphor in terms of like, oh, kids need to learn like multiple languages and shit. That's whenever I hear that.
Well, it's up to children if they want to learn multiple languages or not.
Yeah.
It would be helpful for them to want to know.
Well, God, I wish the learning process. I wish the learning process was kind of like the Matrix, where you could just download information into a person's brain. That'd be so nice.
I actually saw like the sci-fi little short film of what this was. It was like this futuristic society, and they would put their babies in like these little baby cribs, and they had like this little circuit in their head, and it would download information, but they had to stay in the crib for like 9 hours, and the parents couldn't have any interaction with the kids. And this would make sure they would have like multiple different languages and learn so many stuff as their little baby. And all I could say is, babies don't remember anything. How would that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's see, even if you could do the coding thing, how is it going to actually stay into your brain? Because the thing is that the way memories work is that there are signals. So it's not actually like, oh, you learned something now, I've just literally grew my brain. It's a memory system. It's just like little signals that are going off. It's a chemical reaction when you're trying to remember stuff.
The brain does have powers of retention. It does actually have the ability of retention on what it learns.
Oh, yeah, so that's not what I'm arguing.
Mm-hmm.
There's the long core and the short-term memory, but what they are is they're just signals. It's not like an actually physical, it's not like, oh, here's everything you need to learn about math when they're holding actually part of the brain. That's not how it works. Unless they can learn what those signals are when it sends it and turn that into code and then put that into children's brains, but like I don't know.
Learn to code.
Oh God.
10101100011.
It's like a form of hypnosis. 001. What would you? Or let's just all learn Morse. Morse. I can't say it.
Morse code.
Morse.
Morse.
Morse code.
I don't know.
What? No.
They've changed
No,
the
not-
name to Morse code.
But also make sure their deprogramming process is not that hard.
Right.
Teaching them to recognize things like euphemisms and all
Oh
that.
yes, that's
Ooh, boy.
very important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Why do you sound like Shaggy?
Who, me?
Yes. I don't know what that was. You just sound like Shaggy.
Zoixio. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling Ancaps. And that darn dog of theirs.
Apparently, there was like a little discussion in the live chat here between Jeff Baum and Magnus. Jeff Baum says if you want to teach kids a thing, you need there to be more interest, or it will be very forcefully decided. Magnus says when peacefully parenting, you find out just how competent kids are. He's talking about his daughter. She knows what she wants, and already at the age of 2, she can make smart decisions, and we almost never have any conflicts.
Yeah. Wait
really
till
cool.
teenager, and that's gonna pass.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, let's say for example, if you're forcing kids to learn, they're not going to want to learn. And the other thing is also for the fact that when I remember I saw like this video for like schools nowadays are full of like just emotional stuff, but boys are very energetic. They're not they don't really work well with that kind of stuff, and they're trying to limit that. But the problem is that if you don't let boys be boys, they can't learn as well. And there's actually statistic studies where they're not actually doing as well as girls now because they're not in a good learning environment.
No. Yeah, that Gillette ad promotes just toxic messages.
Well, we hear all the time about toxic masculinity. Is there such a thing as toxic femininity, y'all?
There should be.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Cuckhead, the best a man can get over here, basically spewing all that crap. I mean, is there such a thing as toxic femininity? Yeah, exactly. God, I can talk. Anyway.
Yeah. Magnus says it's really amazing, but also disheartening to see kids around us being raised in the authoritarian way. Jeff Baum says, I feel sorry for many people. Magnus says that's where philosophy helps as a guide not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Indeed.
Yeah, but the problem is that not everyone listens to history, so they end up doing it again.
That's true.
People don't learn from the past, and they end up doing it again. People don't learn from their parents, so they do the same shit.
The one thing we learn from history is that we fail to learn from history. That's pretty much universal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't trust the government. We all trusted the government.
Yep. Hey, let's overthrow the British Empire. Oh, great. We became worse than the British Empire less than 243 years later.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Well, that didn't work. Let's overthrow the U.S. government. And then let's erect another government. I mean, right?
All I could think of with the British Empire is just off with their head. Or wait, is that the different one? Am I thinking of the right one?
I think so. I think you were in the right
Marie
one.
Antoinette with her head cut off with her head.
Yeah. Henry VIII.
Oh, I just remembered something too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a side tangent, but I just remembered something to where God damn it. I guess you could say like American culture tries teaching us that we're all so free and whatnot. We're much more free than the rest of the world. And like my dad, like he serves because he's an army soldier and he serves to protect that freedom. And the freedom is supposed to be to where you can choose to, say, for example, vote or not. But my dad, when I was telling him I didn't want to vote, which I didn't, and because I was young at the time, but anyway, my dad was telling me, no, you are going to vote. I fought for your rights to be able to vote, and you are going to vote. And I was like, you fought for my freedom to choose to vote, not to just vote. It's such a false illusion anyway.
Yes.
Jeff Baum says smart people learn from his mistakes. The smartest people learn from others' mistakes. I put in the live chat the Spanish proverb, wise men change their minds, fools don't.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. What did I miss?
Just a little bit in from the live chat. Jeff Baum saying smart people learn from his mistakes, but the smartest people learn from others' mistakes. And I added into the live chat the Spanish proverb I found in an image a long time ago. Wise men change their minds, fools don't.
One thing I just thought of was the fact that humans are constantly evolving depending on their surroundings and whatnot, like say for example with technology. But unfortunately, from what I've seen, is people keep doing the same freaking mistakes, and we're not actually evolving.
No,
definitely not intellectually.
No,
I mean, like I've heard people say that we're devolving, which I wouldn't say it's totally wrong.
Honestly, it almost seems like we are.
Yeah, but I think what the difference is the fact that we're the way that we're teaching our kids is leading to, because the way the government wants people to be dumb. We already all pretty much know that, and because they're having the majority of people dumb, we're not able to evolve and keep learning and keep expanding our minds and whatnot, or evolving with our technology with regulations and whatnot. So because of that, it seems like we're at a standstill for a bit. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not evolving at all. It's just much slower.
All right. Okay. So the thing is, as to why schools and mainstream media dumb people down, well, from my take, is that way so the crooks in power can still get away with stuff.
Yep.
If
people are too, I remember when I was younger, I used to say that if people have no reason to be afraid, then they will not be afraid. If they do not know that they should be afraid of this, then they're not going to be afraid of it. In nature, or you will see that, like, say, for example, baby deers and foxes can play with each other because they don't understand that they're actually supposed to be afraid of each other. But when they get older, they start realizing that, oh, he is my, he's trying to kill me, or that is my meal. I need to go after it. So if children are not learned certain things, they will not realize that, oh, this is bad. So if they're not learned that this is bad, they will have no reason to fight against the government because they have no reason to be afraid in the first place. If they're taught that the government is good, they'll never understand why they're supposed to be worried of it.
Yes, and you've also got to factor in that there is that government's powers, authorities, they basically encourage a kind of dependency culture on people. And unfortunately, people, they take to it. They become domesticated, and they ultimately become dependent on that
Welfare.
authority. Yeah, exactly. And they don't realize that you can live without it, because they're too afraid of what happens. Yeah, exactly. They're just too afraid of, they're afraid of what will happen if they don't have that to fall back on. And it's just, no, that's dependency. That's the net, the safety net. What you think is a safety net. Yeah, what you think is a safety net is actually a spider web.
Yeah.
Yep. And slowly it will just keep wrapping you up until it eventually kills you.
Well, yeah, I mean, you fall back on the spider web, and you're thinking it's a safety net, and you've got spiders that are basically draining you dry, and eventually you're just too weak to you're too weak to get it to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Like vampires.
Yeah, exactly. It's the way it works.
Yes.
Yeah, the way in the Crooks and Power work, they in nature they're sort of like vampires or parasites even.
Yes,
Parasites.
Please
yes.
to my dog.
Ticks, leeches, yeah.
Yeah. Bed bugs, etc.
Yes,
Please
exactly.
Ew.
This is going way too far. We
Yeah.
get the analogy.
Move on.
Moving on.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Get on with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Oh God, yes.
I should watch that again.
I know
It's on
cringe,
YouTube.
but I don't know what that movie is.
Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. Look it up on YouTube. The whole movie is on YouTube, and it is one of the funniest movies.
Wow, it's not taken down.
Exactly. I know, right? Amazing. But yeah. And it is an amazing movie. I mean, you will just about die of laughter. I mean, it's so hilarious.
Yeah. For me personally, like I do like watching films and whatnot, but I prefer TV shows. But like one thing I love doing, I know it's kind of like making myself integrate. I can't say the word, but I love doing to where like I have a couple like really like some new movie nerd friends, and when I tell them that I haven't seen this, they have like the greatest reaction to them. So they'll be like, "You have to watch this now," and I'm like,
You've
nope.
got to watch this. It's the best thing ever.
Because they're so passionate, but it's like, nope, I just don't know it.
Wow.
I'm kind of choosing not to just because I love their reaction. I don't really care for
Oh.
Oh, kind of speaking of films, I just remembered something. I don't even know what the topic of this is anymore, so I don't really care. Has anyone seen the Toy Story 4 trailer?
No.
Yeah, I don't want to.
It's actually not that bad.
I know. Apparently, they're building up to like a really tear-jerking ending of some kind.
What I really want to see, like from what it looked like, it was debating whether Woody was going to retire or like he wasn't going to go back. So would this be like the last film? Which if it is, thank fucking God you stopped using Monopoly. But
yeah.
But like in all seriousness, it looks like as if he's leaving, which is so like I understand, like it's a really cool concept, but at the same time, that doesn't make any sense for his character. Throughout the entire films, he's always been, I have to go back to Andy, I have to go back to Andy, or I have to go back to the new little girl now. He's always been the person that has to go back to his basically owner, whatever. So the fact that they're debating whether he's not going is like almost out of character for him. But if they do it right, I'll be okay. They just gotta do it right.
Yeah, it can work.
Did you hear that Disney declared that Woody would be bisexual?
Oh my God.
Yeah, how does that work? How does that work again?
Yeah, how do toys have sexuality?
Right.
I mean, like, okay, here's the thing. They've already established the fact that he had a crush on, like, that sheep girl and whatnot. So they established that they already had that in their universe. But it's like, no. What are they going to do with the
Please don't
spoon?
put queer kid stuff into Toy Story. Please don't.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
What kind of a toy do you think Lindsay from Queer Kid Stuff would be?
Oh my god.
What kind of toy do you think she'd be?
She'd be a pig.
She'd be a garbage pail kid, in my opinion.
Actually, you know what? She would be the spoon. And even the spoon said it right. I was made for soups, and sometimes I am some chili, and then I was meant to be thrown in the garbage. Which is also another thing I thought of is, are they gonna play God? Are they gonna have it to where she's playing God and where she can actually make them? And is there gonna actually finally explain how these toys are able to talk? Which is when they use when humans put in their imagination into these like animate objects, they retain life. But that also doesn't make sense for toys who have been packaged, because we've seen before when they go into stores and whatnot, not that they're fully talkative, even though there is no imagination yet into these toys yet, because they're not bought yet and been played by children. So I have no fucking idea. I just hope they explain it. And
yeah, that would
like
be
movies,
interesting.
but I love theorizing. I am a theorist, and I freaking love
it.
I don't know. They may go the route that they might go the route that Woody tries to leave, but realizes that he can't actually leave, because without the imagination of maybe it's like the imagination of these children that do give them life.
Either, because if you see in the trailer, there's like the land of the lost toys and whatnot, and they don't have children. They don't have the children's imagination. So how are they still alive?
Yeah,
they even said like children lose toys every day. But yet all those toys are fully active. We can see, and there's like these ancient dolls, and they've never been played with for years. Yet they're still moving. There's the sheep girl, and she hasn't been played by Andy in years. Yet she's still by Andy's sister, and she's still moving. So how?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I guess I wouldn't be totally turned off because of the wrong thing with Woody that Disney wants to push.
Yeah, but like, let's also be real. They're trying to do that with literally every single character.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, who's seen the Frozen 2 trailer?
I have cringed just because it's Frozen at the same time. I'm still kind of generally interested to watch it.
Okay, I'm taking bets right now. How much does anyone want to bet that they are going to give Elsa a female love interest?
Well, I mean, they already have a girl in there, but she looks fairly young.
Well, the going theory is the other girl that we see along with the boy that gets lifted up into the air by the wind, is possibly Elsa and Anna's mother and father when they were really, really young.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to implement time travel? Because you got to keep in mind that those two children don't look like the father and mother.
They do a little bit. They've done something where they've done a study on it where it does look like them. It might be in a flashback, or it might be in the introduction of the movie, explaining how the parents got together, and possibly explaining possible magic that one of them had, and that's why Elsa's got magic or something.
Okay, then can you explain the weird stones?
The trolls.
I don't know.
Or where the hell? I remember
the rock trolls.
I remember when I first watched it, I thought, like, is she training or something when she first starts? And then what is Anna doing jumping off of rocks? What are you doing?
Honestly, they needed to send Elsa to Xavier's School for Gifted Children. I mean, just do that.
Send her to Hogwarts.
Well, no, send her to the X-Men Academy. My God.
Oh my God.
She can keep Iceman company or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh god damn it! Now I just thought of Hero Academia with the ice and fire dude.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Which I've actually never seen that anime, and I don't really care to because I'm not really too into superheroes. Mm-hmm. And I know you guys with your American comics. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Actually, I was a long time ago. I was writing like a story. It was like it was a Frozen story, or it was like a story based on Frozen, but it was like Star Wars, and like Arendelle was a planet, and Elsa and Anna were like they were Jedi Padawans. Yeah, and Elsa, what?
Go ahead. I will say something after.
And Elsa was like deliberating on whether she wanted to be a Jedi or a Sith, and Anna was like a straight Jedi, but Elsa was like she had the choice to become a Jedi or a Sith or something like that. And
Yep.
I was.
Is this like a Disney crossover?
Well, honest to God, they could do that now, couldn't they?
Yep. And can I say something?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, two things. One, the Jedi Republic is a republic, and what the Sith want to do is destroy it. So, in a sense, when we side with the Jedi's, even though they're the quote unquote good guys, they want to keep. They even say if we stop putting our faith in democracy, then it will basically fall apart and whatnot. So, it kind of questions. Should I still want to be a Jedi? And then the second thing I'm going to say is, well, actually, two things. One, if you look at the original story of Frozen, and it was actually supposed to be like an evil ice queen, because the story is based off of the Ice Witch and whatnot. But of course, Disney changed it and whatnot. And also, if you look at, I was looking up stuff about with why would like, so I'm really into Kingdom Hearts, and they had like Frozen in it, and apparently it turned out, like it really, really sucked. And if you look into why it was, as it theorizes for the fact that Disney meddled originally were going. Huh? Hi.
Hello.
They were originally going to have Elsa to be debating whether she wants to be in the light or dark, and eventually the darkness was going to come out into that weird wolf thing. But of course, Disney didn't want to have their character be evil, so they changed it, and now it was probably one of the worst worlds in the Kingdom Hearts universe. Go on.
Yeah.
I said a lot of shit.
Actually, I haven't played the game, but that's interesting.
I haven't played it either, to be honest, but I've seen enough of it.
No, I haven't yet. I've yet to see from my other friend from Sweden. Actually, I know 3 people from Sweden. One out of the 3 I don't know as well, but I know he's a big time gamer, and he not too long ago he started playing Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, my kind of thing with it is that one, I'm weirdly enough, I actually understand the story. I almost don't, because I actually looked into it very deeply. But then if you look into with Kingdom Hearts 3, all it basically is for like 18 hours, you're going around the worlds, and then you meet up with Ventus, and he tells you to like, because the whole goal is that you have to get the power of waking. Ventus tells you, oh, just get the power of waking, and he says he doesn't have it. Yes, you do. It's just sleeping in your heart. So he basically wasted 18 hours doing nothing. And if you actually look at reviews of it, it was only towards the really end to where they actually build up and actually do the story and actually have things be interesting. Okay, we're done with all our marketing stuff. Let's get to the actual story. And I don't like that.
Well, it's a major plot hole, unfortunately.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the gameplay is still fun to a certain degree. Sometimes they're way too easy and too flashy and very much promoting the Disney parts. But overall, like it's Kingdom Hearts. What do you expect? The gameplay is good. And I
I've liked the previous games.
I don't have a PS4, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
I just spoke a lot, and I'm thirsty.
All right, go get some.
Well, we certainly waited long enough for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out.
Yeah, took a long time.
God, it was longer than StarCraft 2. Jeez.
Well, let's just say this: the franchise has been going on for about 15 years.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's fucking dirty.
Is anybody else excited about Anarchizona?
Oh, I no.
What was that again?
He was asking about Anarchizona.
I don't know what that is.
Anarchizoa. It was a little promotion for it on Lark and Rose's channel.
I thought I shared it to you already.
I might have not seen it.
Alrighty, maybe I sent it to AmeriCap. Either way, Marianne, you want to go ahead and play the little skit I sent immediately afterwards?
Okay.
What? What little skit after?
So I sent you the notification for the anarchist event in Arizona, and then I sent another little skit immediately afterwards.
Oh my god, I'm so jelly. My
I know, right?
is in Arizona, and I'm so sad. I'm stuck in the commie California.
Shit.
And there's that, and it's nah.
One of these is for Grandma, one's for you. It's just a confirmation that.
Oh.
I didn't hear what you said. What?
Something about a confirmation. I don't know.
Yep. In that case, Marianne, you might want to add the link just in case that Larkin Rose and what's her name was in. So.
Yeah, I'll link it in the description.
Yeah, this way. Good. This way other Ancaps can see it.
An echo.
Probably from me, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's yeah. And if you could also throw in the little skit so people could have a laugh.
Okay. Yeah, we should add that.
I'm so excited.
Funny as hell.
All right. Next. Well, Malin, we've been talking about peaceful parenting and children in a more voluntary society, how they would live and how they would be raised, and teaching and that sort of stuff. And then sometime in the middle, we talked about kids' movies such as Toy Story 4, and just finished talking about
Toy Story 4.
Talking about Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I came in on the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 from the Frozen series. But yeah, it's why do they have to start sexualizing all the kids stuff? Seriously.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is that Aaron has been doing that for years.
True.
But in terms of like say for example with shows doing that, I don't like.
I still like the idea. Girls can have erections and boys can have periods.
I mean they can, but that's not very good. You need to go to the doctor. Unless you're a What you do not.
We got an echo.
Huh?
Yeah, there's too much echo. Malin, where's your headphones?
Is it on?
Give me a sec, I gotta find them.
I don't have my headphones.
More like I gotta get my lazy ass out of bed and find them.
Is there a problem with my end? Because I don't have headphones either.
No echo on your end.
Okay. I hear myself back, but I think it's just because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go into the more echier part of the house, but I'm saving everyone's ears.
Okay, good.
Because we have, when we were doing renovations, we made, I think it's called a great room, but my dad made it so high, and because the walls are so thin, there's just echo everywhere, and it's kind of...
I think it's because I don't think you guys really had echo until I jumped in, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
I think it was just me. But I got my headphones in now, so.
Yeah, it's not as much.
Yeah, it's much better.
Marco.
Okay, every time I think Marco Polo, I keep thinking of there was a Family Guy episode where Stewie was doing Marco Polo and he was just swimming in a circle, and every time I said Marco, nothing would come back.
Oh yeah, no, the woman who was blind and deaf.
Yes.
Marco.
Polio.
And one that's even funnier is
God.
when I remember there was one episode too where a guy was actually named Marco, so he didn't understand what the hell was going on. Good times. Okay,
Alright,
question.
so what we
Go ahead.
talked about when it comes to like peaceful parenting and child rearing, child raising, I mean.
Yeah.
Is there anything we haven't talked about yet?
Oh, not that I can think of.
One thing I could say is that I'm not gonna say everything, but Knight already knows some of it. I haven't had the greatest childhood, but like I don't believe that I should be taken away from my parents the way like a lot like social workers or whatever or would want to like take away kids. I haven't had the greatest childhood. My parents were definitely not the greatest, but I wouldn't say that I should be taken away from my home or taken away from my family. I almost was put into that position, and no, I did not want to be taken away from my home because here's the thing: not only being taken away from your home, but you're also taken away from your friends. You're taken away from pretty much everything that you already know.
Yeah.
So unless it's really, really extreme and it's really, really bad, don't do it.
Exactly.
In other words, because I grew up as a military brat, I can tell you this: the instability isn't something for everybody. So, yeah, last thing you really want to do is take away all their roots, because then they become alienated in everything.
Yeah, I remember my father was a construction work. I mean, not construction. Was a well, he was, but he was a army soldier.
Yeah.
And I remember for like so much of my childhood, he would be like gone. So like the few moments he would be here would be like the greatest, and that holding those memories would be great. And fearing, I remember at times fearing that he would be gone. I would be so sad because I didn't want to be taken away. Because even though he wasn't here often, the few times he was here, I was really, really happy.
Yep.
And I remember when I was almost being taken away, my biggest fear was the fact that people hold people are like creatures that have and whatnot, and they hold on to things. For at least me personally, the thing that always used to reassure me that I'm going to be okay is that I do my same routines. I'm being able to do like the same things every day because I know that if I can plan for my stuff every day, I know that I know what's going to happen. I'm going to be okay. And when I take away those things, I I became very, very scared. I started losing, I hate this word, but my quote unquote safe space, the one place where I know I'm gonna be okay. And I got really terrified and I fought back against me leaving, and yay, I stayed.
Yep. And that's the reason why you see so many people afraid to lose their community. And actually, that very same mentality is exactly what I see with my studies on the alt right. And hell, even the communists have that same exact mentality. But the difference is that they want to have their system forced on everybody else.
Yeah.
So
I say the whole world must learn of our peaceful ways.
by force.
So being
It's
on
so
a bit of a
beautiful.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was just commenting to the peaceful ways thing.
I remember like someone gave the idea to where like say for example if we get into anarcho-capitalism, if we don't like destroy all information about socialism, people are going to end up doing it again and whatnot and learning from it and think, oh, this system works. But like I don't believe in destroying information because that's just going to lead back to the way we were.
Streisand effect.
Yeah, no. Again, we failed to learn from history, and we're going to repeat it.
Yeah, if
My best
instead of just
my
destroying it, we should learn in the fact that, oh, that was bad, let's not do it again, and teach people that this was bad.
Exactly.
And have the information available.
Yes.
yeah.
Google
Well,
it.
Honestly, it reminds me of the Andrew Ryan approach to things from BioShock. How he would actually anyone who would come in and encourage a religion or a government that he didn't like, he would have them killed. And it was in the name of preserving the anarchist way of the City of Rapture in that game. But in the end, it merely ended up pushing up people. It ended up pushing people in the direction of those policies, those government types, and it didn't work at all.
Oh yeah, when you tell people not to do something, they're gonna go immediately do it and defy you.
Yeah,
Reverse
I think
psychology.
I think the best thing is basically for schools to educate students on economics first and foremost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mainly because like just basic economics when they hit say second grade. Well, probably I don't know how early we should be going with that because it's a matter of teaching the kids, but I know that
I mean, when we
that
got
they've
middle
been pushing
schoolers
the
in the
sharing is caring
Ancapistani, I don't think
bullshit.
it's gonna be that hard.
Yeah, it isn't that difficult, at least with basic like supply and demand and stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
we're talking about the education of kids here. So the key thing, however, is that like yeah, you need to tell people it's bad, but you also need to tell them why it's bad. Teach them economics so that they can figure the shit out for themselves. A great deal of the problem that I remember going through school is they don't teach you problem solving skills. They don't teach
No.
you. They've been indoctrinating you. Like when I grew up, when I was in third grade, I would bring because I have hyperglycemia where basically I just burn through sugar like it's like really quick, so I have to have sugar otherwise I start I'm like it's like Paul
Fainting.
Blart Mall Cop, just not as extreme. And
Yeah.
so basically I have to eat sugar nonstop or otherwise I just start shutting down. Usually mentally first. And anyway, because of that, I had to bring bags of candy to school with me just to make sure I could stay so I could stay awake and stay cognizant during the entire class. And the first thing and the reason I had to bring bags rather than a few pieces is because Chris, sharing is caring.
Oh my god.
Did you bring enough pieces for
Wow.
everybody?
Oh God.
And if I
Actually,
did,
I've heard an example of socialism to capitalism, and it was very much like a teacher-student scenario where it was supposed to be like a child brings his lunch, and if he wants help with something, maybe he'll offer part of his lunch to another kid, and if in response, in return for that kid helping them out. But like socialism would be like the teacher taking that child's lunch and then divvying it up between like the other students
yeah,
equally, and that's kind of the example. But that's what that reminds me of.
yeah, that's
I
exactly what happens.
yeah, I remember when one thing that would always piss me off with schools and whatnot was the fact that they were teaching like so much of the like. Keep in mind from like I didn't know like the reason why I was a leftist for a while was because of the fact that I didn't know any better, so I believed on what the stuff I was taught, and I was taught
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of like socialist stuff and whatnot. But then
oh yeah,
I
that's
started learning
exactly
better, and I
what
was like,
happened
"This
with
is
me.
so freaking stupid." And the thing I hated, I still hate to this day, was the fact that okay, you can go teach your leftist bullshit, fine, I don't care. But if you're going to teach it, teach equally both sides. And I know it's possible because one of my teachers actually did that, and he said from the beginning that whenever we would have debates in class, because he would do that eventually with our history stuff, he would not say which one was correct or not. He would just have us debate and see philosophically which one like basically debate about different stuff and whatnot. So it is possible. And what I hate most about the school was the fact that one teacher could do it, but literally no one else would ever have us just teach us both sides of the argument, show us both all the facts and whatnot on both sides, and then we get to choose for ourselves. If you only show a one-sided thing, they're either just going to believe you and they're not going to know anything else, so they're going to automatically believe in the thing you want them to believe, which is not being their own person.
Yep.
I
And
hated that so much. It's such indoctrinating.
that's exactly what the schools do. That's exactly what schools were designed for.
I
One of the
know.
key
I said no.
components of ideological subversion and so on was just getting the schools centralized through in the form of public schools and trying to get rid of charter schools and individual education. And
Yeah.
it worked.
The
It worked.
Prussian model.
Yep, the Prussian model. And it worked 100%. And
Unfortunately.
yeah, I know. It took a mental breakdown in high school for me to basically break free from that crap, and that's only because I was
Oh, that did it
trying
to
to
me
piece my
twice.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Some people are not naturally inclined to socialism. I mean, there's being social that people are naturally inclined to. Like I'm giving as hell, but yeah. Before I start dominating the conversation, I'm gonna shut up.
You don't have to.
Ask Marianne what's happened in the last 2 streams I've been in.
Oh
I've
yeah,
been
you
doing that
sort of
pretty much
took over.
50% of this, so don't worry.
Yeah,
Oh, hey, you guys want to see something?
sure.
Okay.
God damn it, I have to. Actually, I'll just do this. I got a cupcake.
Whoa.
Looks yummy.
Yeah, the only problem is that with these kind of cupcakes, they're almost too rich. So like every time I have them, it's like I have to drink like water or milk or something afterwards because it just oh my god.
So dry.
No,
I'm
it's not
envious.
dry. It's too rich. But damn tasty.
Did I just? Yes, I did. Alrighty, there we go.
One thing,
Yeah.
I did. Oh yeah, about with you were kind of going a little bit on terms of mental breakdown. I remember when I think when I was a sophomore, I had my first one, which gave me into a conservative, and then then I had a much even bigger one when I was going to be going into Ancap, because my thing was the fact that I believed for so long the fact that it's not the reason why all these things are happening is because of who's in charge. Or if we put the right person in charge, this isn't going to happen and whatnot. And it took, like, I already had all the facts in it. I just didn't want to believe it. And then one day I just faced reality it doesn't matter who's in charge. Everyone's corrupt and they're going to end up like that. And it made me really, really sad. At the same time, it hurt my brain. Like I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it for so long, but there was only so long I can deny it.
Well, that's the stigma, isn't it?
A lot of the funny thing about what you just stated there is a lot of the reason why we're seeing such a large influx of even conservatives jumping aboard the collapsitarian concept with the Yang Gang is because they're experiencing just that.
Yeah.
they're getting yellow pilled and they're trying to, and cognitive dissonance is trying to fight it.
I remember
Alrighty, go
my
ahead,
dad.
Night Shift.
I remember I was talking with my dad in the car, and I've had a few times where we talk about the stupid like socialist stuff and whatnot, talk about capitalism, and he talked about one point with like say for example we're doing like stupid construction across the street that's making the roads smaller to make them less car friendly, and he was saying towards like the next politician is gonna like get rid of that and whatnot. And I said, well, no. And he was saying for how all this was stupid. The politicians want this, and I said, well, then why do you vote for them? Exactly. We don't. We're not going to vote. We're not going to vote for him the next time. But then he said, well, they're going to probably do the same thing. And then I just kept silent because like he had such the realization in his head that I didn't want to ruin it. All the politicians want is to take away stuff. They don't want to help.
See, that's the thing. I think most of us, I think it's just a trap for all of us.
Yeah.
It's basically all it is that, you know, we all hold on to hope. We all hold on to the good inside of every single other person, and we forget about the corruption of power. We forget that there are bad people out there.
I mean, like a
And
lot of people who vote for socialism, or let's say even an example for like gun control and whatnot. They honestly believe the fact that the reason why there's so much like school shootings or so much killing going on is because we have little regulation on it. So they have good intentions, but they're stupid.
oh yeah, that too. In
I
fact,
think.
I
They're
think it's that
ignorant.
line of thinking. Yeah, I think it's that line of thinking that puts people into still believing the state. Now I'm gonna shut up so Stefan and Nightship can talk.
Yeah, I think it's a bit split. Like some socialists may have good intention, but you know, like with Mises said, like behind every socialist is every socialist is a disguised dictator, basically.
Mhm.
So some of them are like willingly authoritarian and know what they're in for, but definitely
Greater
not all of
good.
them. Yeah, greater good, right?
Yeah. And
Alexandria Ocasio, Googly Eyes Cortez.
15,000 jobs, or whatever the number was.
Well, the only way that people are ever going to learn the truth is when they realize there is no right person to be the leader. There is no right person for leadership. It just doesn't work that way. You're not going to vote in the right guy because there is no right guy.
Even if
Exactly.
you look at, I remember when I was in my stupid like government socialist class, because that was a requirement that I had to take government and whatnot. But anyway, even when they were teaching us about socialism and whatnot, they were basically saying how people are corrupted, like people can get corrupted. Yet we let people who can't become corrupted govern other people who can also become corrupted.
Yep.
Even in their own teachings, they even show the fact that people can be corrupted and whatnot, which is why they don't want like businesses is which is why they don't want free market, is because of the fact that they fear that the corporations will just abuse their power over their workers, make them work like nothing. But yet they let those same corrupted people become rulers. It doesn't
Yes.
make sense.
I know.
Even
I
though
know.
their own
It's
teaching, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it is really stupid.
Preaching to the choir.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
interject with a little off-topic subject here.
Go ahead.
I
Or
had a
not
really,
confusing
really
topic at all.
weird nightmare. I had a really weird nightmare that I woke up early from. That's the reason why I'm awake right now.
Do tell.
what was it
Basically,
about?
I was on Fox News with debating with
Oh God.
Oh, enough said. Enough
Cortez,
said.
AOC. I was debating with
Uh,
AOC. She
Let's
starts
talk.
staring at me with that freakish smile, googly eyes, and I'm like, and she's just holding that position like freeze frame, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you staring at me like that? Next thing I know, I'm tied to the chair, and somebody starts smothering barbecue sauce on me. I'm like, oh
So
shit.
just
And
an average day at Fox News. Just an average day at Fox News.
Okay,
Oh,
two things I have to
oh
say. That
my
is
God.
two
Yeah,
things
that
I have
image
to
of Ocasio is like nightmare fuel enough.
that's
Okay,
exactly what it
can I
was.
say something?
AOC creepypasta, anyone?
Oh,
Can I say
jeez.
something? Maybe your
Who
dreams
needs
were talking
zombie
to you for
apocalypses?
maybe your dreams were talking to you for the fact that they're staring you down and making sure you have to say the things that we want you to say, and then they're smothering you with their stupid stuff like the barbecue sauce while you're being stared down. But
I'm just
yes,
think
yes, say what we want. Yes, this is true. You didn't see it, but I'm moving my
Oh
penis and I'm
no.
smothering you.
I'm
I'm
sorry, what
just
did I
thinking
miss?
I'm just thinking
You
who needs
missed a lot.
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking, who needs a zombie apocalypse when you've got AOC smothering you in barbecue sauce, getting ready for a
Yeah.
feast?
I mean, we already have zombies. Just saying, we already do. And
Yeah.
if am I allowed to nerd out for just 1 minute or no?
All right, so Arcanu, you came in way late, but it's all right. We'll summarize what we went over. We talked about peaceful parenting and education, how that would work in an anarchic society, and a little on age of consent, and a little bit on, very little on the controversial sort of stuff around kids. No, Malum just talked about a nightmare he had. It was funny.
You guys want to know
Yeah.
something? And this is actually really scary.
What?
I think I think Night if you already knew this, but like I was looking at so you know how the Resident Evil 2, the remake one came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at it, we can technically the government can make zombies today. If you take
Yeah.
different viruses and put their DNA, combine them together, which you can do that, you can essentially make your own zombie army. And that's really scary to me.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
really bad.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're already doing that.
Actually, parasites are the way they go about it.
Yeah.
Most parasites, like there's one that mice get. That mice, if they
Cat.
contract if they contract the parasitic infection, they'll lose all fear. The parasites release a chemical into their bloodstream that basically erases all fear for them, and they'll just walk up to a cat and just watch it as the cat goes up and eats it.
Yep.
In other words, it's like suicidal. They have other things like cordyceps, which have been experimented with, and the state has actually admitted to experimenting with cordyceps. Um, and anybody that's played The Last of Us, there you go.
Yep. And
So
also, you know how in zombies they bite you, right? Well,
yeah,
what does the flu virus do? It's spread through saliva, and you have to bite someone for it to spread.
yep,
And that's where the chain went down, and that's where I just got terrified.
yep. And then
Low
there's
key, I just
also
wanted to go off there for a minute.
there's also meningitis and a few other viruses out there too that create uh, issues with the brain, especially like rabies. I mean, that's probably the biggest one everybody thinks of. Now, all you
Oh
got to do
yeah.
is a less lethal variant, and yeah.
Well,
Um,
if you see in like Resident Evil 2, it says like it was put into the water, and that's how
yep,
it got spread around. And there are actually viruses. A lot of viruses are spread through the water,
yep.
Waterborne.
which is yes, which is why when the government regulates that shit, I'm terrified.
But without Globerman, who would infect us with these brain-altering parasites?
You know, something I've
Yep.
considered, something I've thought of is how much of you know about the construction of a virus, and how much of you know what a prion is.
A little. I
So
dabble.
I'll go ahead and explain it. So basically, the virus itself, is contained inside of a protein shell.
Mm-hmm.
So the way the virus goes through this, so the cells absorb protein, right? And that's how proteinaceous infections, and that's how viruses are actually taken into other cells, is they pretend to be the protein that the cell needs to basically survive, do its function. And what will happen is that the the virus is actually the is genetic material inside of a protein shell, and whereas prions is merely a misfolded protein. That when the cell gets the misfolded protein, it just continuously repeats um that misfolded protein, because it'll also take other amino acids and shit like that. and it'll just fold it over and over and over again in the misfolded format. While those misfolded proteins will eventually destroy the cell, and then all of a sudden you have all these different prion cells, and that's how you get like the spongiform encephalitis and stuff like that. Basically, your brain is full of holes.
Yep,
Ouch.
and the other thing I would also say, to just adding on information for that, when the cell eats, I don't want to say the word eats, but basically absorbs that protein, which it thinks it is, but in reality it's the virus. It uses the cell to keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. So that's why you have to get a lot of times you have to destroy viruses quickly because they will multiply within the cells, and eventually so many of them will come up.
Yep. Now imagine combining a virus, the genetic material that makes up the virus, inside of a proteinaceous infection.
Oh God.
I know, right?
No. I'd like to live, please. I would like to live.
Like, this is something I've thought of a while back, and I'm pretty sure the first moment somebody said that some government worker was like, you know what, we got proteinaceous infections, and a virus is encoded in a protein shell, so what would happen if you just replaced the protein shell for a proteinaceous infection?
I'm scared. Wait, that just reminded me of something. Is Night Shift still here?
No, he left.
Oh.
No.
Well, he lives right next to a government test building, and he would tell me to where, like, he would drive down the road or whatever, and he would go, "Oh, like, stop experimenting on us ass," or something like that. And I just have to say, good on you.
Oh no.
Oh, and I want to say, sorry if I've talked like way too much. I hate when there's just silence and nothing going on, so I try to think of topics because
It's
I
good.
hate silence.
Yeah, you're
And
fine.
meanwhile, I'm trying not to hijack the entire video.
I'm already doing that, so don't worry.
Speaking of, I do have to go. I gotta start doing my research, and I gotta get something done right now. I got like 2 minutes to get to it, so see you guys later.
All right, later, Mom. Thanks for stopping by.
I'm not gonna talk for a little bit because it's really echoing here because I need to change shit.
Oh.
All right. Looks less echoey now that Malum's gone. All right. So we were talking about viruses. Oh, hey, Nate's here. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Or, yeah, right now.
All right. Well, glad we could make it. We just finished talking about. Well, we already finished talking about the main topic. On peaceful parenting and child raising and teaching children and how children could live in a more voluntary society.
We were just finishing talking about how the government are doing experiments on viruses and whatnot, and how scary that is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and no doubt it's like controversial about things like vaccines.
Well, you guys probably already know how I feel about vaccines.
Yeah.
Because I was a test subject for the chickenpox vaccine, and I believe a few other vaccines, and it ruined me afterwards. It literally ruined me.
I don't remember you talking about that.
Oh, I talked about it on my stream, on one of the streams that you were not able to make.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, though I will tell you, I didn't have reactions to the vaccines, or at least most of the ones that I got. But But I will tell you that I was diagnosed with high functioning autism afterwards. Now, I'm not saying the vaccines caused it because I don't know for sure. We don't know for sure whether or not they did. But it could have been a combination of things that led to my autism. Because I live in an area where I believe it was mercury that is really
You have high levels
high.
of mercury?
Yeah, high levels of mercury in the environment. So, or it could have been the GMOs in our foods. I'm sorry?
No, go on.
Yeah, I was also going to say it could have been environmental factors, GMOs in their foods, along with the vaccines combined together that could have led to my autism. I don't know. I don't know for sure. And so I'm like, well, since we don't know for sure, why don't we look into it? And then all of a sudden, I am written off as anti-vaccine, which I'm not, and I'm anti-science, and it's.
Yeah.
And now they're censoring people who are questioning vaccines or who are totally against vaccines. Amazon is starting to raise the prices on books and documentaries like Vaxxed. And hey, I think they also announced that they're gonna take them off the shelves.
Yeah, Facebook is shutting down groups on
I'm
it.
sorry?
Facebook are shutting down groups on like discussing this issue.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but they've been doing that for a while, so is anyone really that surprised? And
Yeah, they started doing it increasingly lately, though.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm just gonna say is a joke for the Mercury thing. Are you the Mad Hatter now? Because he had to the way his hat always stayed up straight, so they used to use Mercury, and his character is based off that. And one thing I want to say for like the that kind of stuff, one thing that's really bad is for the I started puberty really, really young, like at like 7 years old. Because of the fact that there was so much hormones in our foods, I started developing really quickly, and unfortunately, that led me to getting a lot of attention at a really young age when I wasn't ready for it, and I didn't have really much of support.
Oh no.
It's not fun, but I learned to get used to it. But yeah.
I want to comment further on the autism issue. Like basically with my older brother, he has autism, but he has more low functioning autism, so to speak. So like he can't speak, and like he's sort of sometimes he seems a bit like bipolar, so to speak. Like he can get go really fast from like looking really happy to looking sad, right, and angry, and he can't express himself in any other way, so it's quite difficult. So it seems that sort of these symptoms started getting revealed or coming about soon after he got a vaccine at the age of 4 or something. So there's it's certainly possible to be a coincidence, but there aren't many other explanations, right? So like the logical leap is like easy to arrive at. Naturally, I think it's a very low probability. Like I don't oppose like all vaccines naturally, but it's important to note that like vaccines is not a homogeneous category. It's like a very heterogeneous. So we need to look at each individual vaccines and not judge all of them like one, and that's what it seems at least many mainstream supporters of vaccines are just categorizing it as that, and anyone who dares criticize
Is
are
anti-science.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One thing I'd say is that I remember when I was younger, I got like I think it was like in 4th grade, in 7th grade, you're supposed to get like shots or whatever, or at least I was supposed to, and I didn't take the one for 4th grade, so I got like 4 shots, 2 in each shoulder, and one was like really deep into the muscle, and one was a little bit more closer, and because I was getting so many in one area, now no matter whenever anyone touches where I got that shot, it always hurts.
Oh yeah.
And like, keep in mind, I'm the type of kid that's like, I'm not scared of needles. I'm not like moving around and whatnot. I'm very calm when it comes to needles, so it's not like I was moving around or whatever would make it do that. It's just the person messed up, so they put it. They either put it in the wrong place or they put it way too deep, so it always constantly hurts. Like someone can like lightly punch my shoulder, and they'll go like. And I'll go, ow. And they'll say, oh, come on, that didn't even hurt that bad. Yes, but that part of my shoulder always hurts. And it was because of that. And I'm not blaming vaccines for that. I'm just stating for shots wise.
Right. Have you guys ever seen a footage of a little toddler getting 6 shots all at once?
I had that before. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, why are we doing stuff like that? Can't we just go one at a time and spread things out instead of getting it all at once?
You're supposed to take them like every couple of years and whatnot and get it spread out. Maybe only get like 2, whatever. But unfortunately,
take your
either
time.
sometimes parents don't take their kids to the hospital, or unfortunately, the parents miss the deadline. So eventually, when they get older, they will get asked, "Hey, you missed blah blah blah." Or you're ready, or you're up and coming for blah, blah, blah. Do you want to take them now? And I usually just say yes, just to get it over with. And I'm used to taking them a lot, but it also hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Like 1 to 2 is fine, but when you have to take like 6 and like 3 in each arm, freaking hurts.
Right, for peanut butter shot.
That gay shit.
Well, for the babies, they give them on their legs. I mean.
Oh my god.
I mean,
there's a reason why I don't take the flu shots, just because I'm tired of taking that thing all the time, and I never get the flu.
I got the flu shot, and a few other family members of mine got the flu shot, and we all got sick afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, it is dead. It is weakened or dead viruses that they give you. The flu shots, they can't make the flu shots until after the flu is out.
Yeah.
So
they have to take an estimated guess on what it's going to be, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong.
Well, another thing
I'm
that
not going to blame scientists for that aspect of it.
Well, another thing I find highly suspect about the whole thing is that Congress passed a law in 1986, that vaccine manufacturers cannot be sued.
Yeah, that's a problem right there.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
What? Serious?
And again, on top of the fact that when you're literally mandating for children to take this, at least when you're older, you could choose rather to not take these things, even if they have been shown to be bad. But kids are literally required by law, at least in my area, for the fact that you have to take these shots at certain ages.
Oh yeah,
They have been reported to be really bad. They have to do it. They have no choice.
Yeah, that's what we're suffering here.
Well, otherwise, they get fined.
Yep, that's what we're suffering here in the People's Republic of California. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
United Socialist States of America.
Yeah, I know, right?
USSA.
USSA. Yep. Alrighty, Marianne, did you for all of you guys, did you guys see the link I sent into the text portion of Hangouts?
No.
I did see the link, but I'm gonna have to watch the video later.
Alrighty.
I will put the link in the description.
I'm almost never there.
Yeah. Bit Pocket or something like that. I think it's or Pocket Chain. I can't remember. Pocket something, but I think it was Bit Pocket. Basically, somebody created a social network system similar to Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, or at least they've made some kind of thing, and based on blockchain technology, and They're trying to basically create an uncensorable variant of it all.
I think I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just sent the link into the channel, but I'm just gonna shut up here because I don't know too much. Yeah,
Can
I
you
don't know.
send it into? Oh.
Oh yeah, it's in the main channel, the text portion.
Okay.
Of,
Did you send
Hangout.
it into the live stream though?
I don't know how to do that.
I could put it in the. I'll put it in the live. Put it in the description after the stream is over.
Yeah, that's
For
probably
I
better.
put it in our voice call thing.
Yep. So I don't know too much on blockchain technology, but I know that Hashgraph is the other equivalent to the higher speed variant of blockchain. But what do you guys think of this?
Better than what we have now.
Yep.
It's impressive.
Kind of a question.
Yeah.
How long are we doing the stream for? I know you do it for a couple hours, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3 hours.
How long has it been?
Oh, it's been about 2 hours and a half.
Okay. I gotta do some shit at 11 o'clock, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh,
If
okay.
Marianne can't, she'll do it all day.
Not all day.
I think the maximum is 8 hours.
I would love to be here all day, but no. I got
Oh yeah, that's right. This is a job for Marianne, so yeah, maximum is 8 hours.
Yeah, it is.
Well, except for overtime, when you take overtime. Which which actually, from what I've seen, from granted, I have retail jobs, but from what I've seen, most employers don't want you to work overtime because of the fact that A, of course, they have to pay you more, and B, it also means that if you go over a certain amount of hours, they have to give you like special benefits required.
Time and a half.
Yeah.
Usually time and a half.
Yeah, and I'm just like, a lot more. I feel like a lot more shit would be done if they weren't forced to give you like, I don't know, extra vacation time or extra, extra health stuff and whatnot. I feel like more stuff would get done because people would be more willing to actually stay. Would be allowed to stay more after. Because from what I've seen from my jobs, people are willing to work hours extra if there are shit that's just not done and they need to get it done. But unfortunately, they get told by their bosses to the fact that no, you have to clock out by the time, and you can't just clock out and continue working because that's against the law. Instead of just paying the guys the extra money and with the benefits. I don't care about the benefits. I'm not working for the health benefits. I'm not working. Well, I would like the vacation hours, but I don't care about it.
You want to hear something funny regarding what is it? Overtime and double time?
What?
We used to have it all the time. In fact, it was many times it was encouraged by employers. They used to pay that way anyway.
That was still a thing.
And then I know, right? But yeah, not only that, not only was it encouraged by the employers, but after the legislation, it got too costly for employers, so they had to find an area to cut back. That is why employers no longer want people to be on overtime or double time. So the meritocracy there, because of legislation, the meritocracy to earn more and more money has been cut.
Yeah. And you think it would be a good thing for you to work extra hours because the thing is A, you actually hire less people. So let's say, for example, you have one person that's working 3 extra hours instead of 2 people working that same job. It's actually less money for the employer. And secondly, you would think that in terms of like, okay, I want to look good to my boss. I'm going to work extra hours because I'm really dedicated to my job. Which kind of a good thing and bad thing. And I'm saying a bad thing towards the fact that you look at the way at Japan, the way they're doing, they have a problem with overworking.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not America. That's a different issue.
Yeah, but no, it just goes to show the point.
Yep.
So, yeah, when you have it's called for the viewers, if you're not an ANCAP or no understanding of economy, it's called regulatory capture. In other words, every time they pass a law, it actually doesn't hurt the companies I mean, okay, yes, it does hurt the companies, but it also hurts you even more.
Oh yeah, that's whenever I'm trying to explain like capitalism or ANCAP stuff to like other people and whatnot, I always, because of the area I grew up in and because I started as a socialist, I'm not socialist, a leftist. The reason why I was one is because I thought it was beneficial for the people. So when I try explaining things to others, they think that this is supposed to be beneficial for the people. But when I prove that this is actually not, it's better for the corporations and the big people, it actually hurts more the little guy, which they're supposedly trying to help. It kind of gets them to think, or they just say that's not true. But I always try telling them, I always try explaining it in a way that they would actually care about it. Which if they supposedly care about the little man, yeah, I'm going on a tangent.
Oh no! I agree with you. I agree with you. Most people do care, and that's actually and that's the reason why I say the seek and destroy mentality that most of us ANCAPs have is actually very detrimental to our cause. Um, the best thing we can do is appeal. Like, I hate using this fallacy, but appeal to their emotions. People care. They make their judgments based on the fact that they care. The problem
They're
is
just
that
jumping the
when they
gun too
think,
much.
yeah, not only that, they're thinking purely with emotions and feels rather than logic and fact. And
Well,
the
we
thing
can
you
think
can
of.
and the
Sorry.
thing you can do to shut them down whenever they talk about stuff is you can say, well, if you honestly cared, you'd take the time to look into it and find this stuff out for yourself, like me. In other words, you can basically say that I care more about people than you do. So make it competitive for them. Give
You
them an
can be very
incentive.
logical and try to like be logical, and you don't want to be emotional with it, and try to be as very factual as possible, which I've seen a lot of anti which is really good. And that's really good for if you want someone in the debate who's very informational. But the other thing that you have to do if you're trying to persuade someone is the fact that you gotta, I don't want to say you gotta get them where it hurts, but you got to appeal to them to a certain degree because you want to get them thinking about it. But if nothing
Yep.
that really interests them, then it's not going to get the gears working. And so for me, I try being like, of course, very factual and whatnot, and very, I guess you can say, common sense. But I do imply some emotions to it as well. Passion comes
Exactly.
with emotions as well. And if I'm not passionate about the thing I'm learning about, why the hell am I doing it?
Exactly.
Right.
And not only that, there's also the fact that what another thing we can learn is another thing we ANCAPs can actually learn from the alt right. This is where I see the alt right pushing for it the most is when you debate somebody. If you're going into a debate, do not debate them. You know, if they're a hardcore anti-capitalist, there's no point debating them unless there's an audience. You always want to target the audience. Now, if the person you are debating doesn't want to hear a single thing you say, and no matter
It's not
what
going
you
to do
say, you
anything.
can't change them,
No, yeah.
there's no point debating them. But if there's somebody in their audience that you can target, then yeah, that's who you target. You shut them down in front of their audience, or not shut them down. You destroy their argument in front of their audience and make them look like the bad guy. Kind of like we've seen with Ben Shapiro when he destroys his. Like, we don't even agree with Ben Shapiro, but he's very good at destroying leftists because he will put things like I disagree with killing babies, and when he's talking about abortions. So that's one of the things he'll put down is killing babies, and
So basically,
basically
we have to play a little dirty.
a little bit, yes, intellectually dirty, yes. But the
No,
thing
it's
is
not
we
being
also have to
dirty,
make
it's playing smart. There's a
true,
difference.
true,
And we're not doing
dirty
anything
and smart.
wrong.
Well, the thing is that we have to if we're going to expand, especially if we're going to expand this movement, because we know the state is bad. We have freaking logical and factual proof to it. History will back us up on the matter.
It
So,
actually can. And the
and
other thing I would God damn it, I just had it and then I forgot.
another thing I suggest is gradualism, not in the form of working within the state, but more or less working within the populace. Because what the leftists did is they didn't start with the state, or they started at the lowest rungs of the state, and they started with the people. They put they put their people in the schools to brainwash everybody. They put people into positions of power within the populace and the government. We already had a corporatist economy, so before they turned it into what it is, into the highest form of corporatist fascism that we have today, or fascistic corporatism. Sorry.
I just remember something. Isn't there a quote of Hitler saying where the children are our future or something like that?
Yep, the children are our future. Vladimir Lenin has stated, all socialists have practically said, you target the children, because when you target them, eventually they will be your blind followers.
Well, they are our future, and I've heard that phrase so much from them all the time.
Yep.
I'm not saying it isn't true, but I'm just saying you hear it more from them than anything else.
Oh yeah, we got to start learning from their tactics, but we adapt it to something that sets people free rather than enslaving people.
Exactly. From what they did right does not mean it's plain dirty. We just see, okay, this is we learn from what we did, and we can improve on it, or we can adapt it to a certain degree, but not like, of course, like enslaving or whatnot. But that's not really playing dirty. We just see what they did right.
All it is educating people. Yeah, all it is educating people, and
that's why so many Ancapistani are YouTubers.
Yeah, gradualism is basically nothing more than incrementalism in reverse. Incrementalism started at the lowest levels of government, and that's where we're seeing the right wingers within the state actually starting off as. But that's part of the reason why the Libertarian Party was created as well, before it turned into the shit show it is now. And unfortunately, we see people like the conservative Mexican pushing for conservatives to take over the Libertarian Party. So you can see where the state is still fuck.
Trying to edge their way in, but we won't allow it.
That's why I'm putting it out here now, and that's why I kind of want people to inform everybody within the Libertarian. We already have Adam Kokesh bringing ANCOMs into the group.
Oh no.
Yeah, we don't need a conservative throwing their we don't need conservatives taking over the one thing we have to peacefully get to people, because we can talk about how the state government, how getting involved in the state itself is bad, but look at what just the actions of Ron Paul has created far more libertarians by exposing the government. And I think it was Hot Blue that even stated this. The actions of Ron Paul sticking to his principles, and exposing the state for what it is, has created more libertarians than any other person than all of our videos combined. And of course, I want to try and outdo that competition and all. So, and that's the way we all need to. That's the way we all need to get go about it. And the problem is we have all these idiots that are like undressing on stage, not thinking things through, and like whitey tighties, dear God.
Oh, God.
So.
Don't remind me.
I mean, isn't that why, I guess you could say, like, trying to phrase this as best as I could, how Mr. Dapperton was able to turn a lot of people into ANCAPs, because from what I've seen, a lot of people were either introduced to it or became ANCAPs through his videos and whatnot. I remember, Nate, you were that too, right?
Well, see, I was already ANCAP in spirit. I still had much to learn when I finally got introduced to Mr. Dapperton by ANCOMs of all people. Oh yeah, they accused me of I didn't even know anything about anarcho-capitalism, but basically when I got introduced to actual anarchist groups, and by somebody I cared about, I got introduced to ANCOMs, and then because I stood against them, because like, no, communism is bad no matter what you try to do, capitalism is the best way to go, and ownership of private property, and it's just I would just I think I did better with emotional with appeals to emotion than I have factually speaking, but
I'm gonna say a bit same to that.
Yeah. But yeah,
But
I
I'm
used
a girl.
to.
I can do that.
Yeah, I used to stand. I would stand up to them, and they would blame me of being a Mr. Dapperton lover, and I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck he is. Like, I was so sick and tired of these people. I got so sick and tired of these people. It's like I decided to look into Mr. Dapperton. The first video was a collaboration between him. My first video from Mr. Dapperton was a collaboration between him, Listen to Reason, Shane Killian, and Hoodie Demon at the very end for comic relief.
Yeah.
An introduction into anarcho-capitalism. My first video from Mr. Dapperton, and it's like, this is it. I'm an ANCAP. That's what I am.
Nice.
So yeah, it made the most sense. Everything I stood for. I mean, they didn't even really give you too much factual or logical evidence. It's just they put anarcho-capitalism in the gist of things, and it's like, this resonates with everything I believe in. And that's the way we got to be doing these kind of things. Incrementalism in reverse is gradualism. If you want to technically because socialists utilize incrementalism to increase the power of the state, as as what's attributed to Hitler stating, you take their freedoms piece by piece until one day they realize they have nothing. And yeah,
we can give them our freedom until they realize they have everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just doing it reverse.
No, that's exactly what gradualism is the exact reverse of incrementalism, and that's how we got to look at it. Not looking at it from, like, yeah, we can play the state. The idea is to play the state as a stage in front of everybody to prove our point, but not actually play games in the state. But
expose the myth of authority.
Yeah, exactly. Just what Ron Paul did, expose the state for what it is. Stick to your principles and expose the state. And luckily the leftists are doing a great deal of that for us. Crap.
Yeah. A lot of people on that kind of same thing. I remember like towards like November there was a lot of news articles coming out where basically a lot of people aren't voting anymore because they find that it's not amounting to anything. They got their Hitler or whatever hell, or they're not getting what they really wanted. So a lot of people are questioning what is the point of voting. And one thing I was so sad is when I was younger, I was so upset to the fact that I was too young to vote. Oh, I can now because I'm 18. But I was so sad for so long that I couldn't vote. But then when I actually became an adult, I realized, this is stupid. I don't want to vote.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I see it now.
Yeah, and that's exactly that's actually good for us. Many conservatives are finding themselves falling to either the Libertarian Party or they're basically stuck. They want to stay with conservatism because that's what they've known, kind of like trying to take a kid out of their home, that whole ordeal. And they want to stick with their party. They're still tribal. We human beings are tribal by genetics, basically, and
that's why I refer to us as hairless monkeys.
Yeah,
recorded hairless monkeys.
Yep, and that's what we have to take into consideration here is that they need a push, a gentle push, not a hard push, and because many, even conservatives, when they're finding that their conservative representatives, #sarcasm, are not when they find out that these representatives are not doing their job, they become disenfranchised. And I'm seeing an increased number as a result going into either libertarianism or the alt-right, especially the alt-right. The alt-right is growing from what I'm noticing because, well, guess what the left is pushing the hardest? Everything that basically anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-male, anti-heterosexuality, just basically everything that a lot of the conservatives love and care about, they're finding that the alt-right are pushing for that. So, and unfortunately, all that means is we're going to see the rise of the Conservative Party again, rather than something geared more towards freedom. Because unfortunately,
one thing I kind of want to say towards like the kind of left or right thing is the fact that one thing that's kind of unfortunate is the fact that I can't remember exactly everything that happened with it, but basically how you're only allowed to vote for like pretty much two parties. You're only allowed to exist within really two parties, and you can't really do too much outside of that. Out in terms of like stuff with the government, whatnot, and they're trying to manufacture this only two mentality. Because if you don't have a third option, you're stuck between the two, and they become very extreme.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm glad it's kind of diverting from that, but it's also turning into a extreme as well.
Yep. Well,
let's
it's
be honest.
not.
I see both sides pretty much exactly the same, just different wording.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of this is, luckily, the right wing side, sticking with the dichotomy, the right wing side is still heavily united because we're all being targeted, but we're starting to become disenfranchised with our own party members because they keep giving away our freedom. Surprise!
Well, who would have expected it?
I know, right? Well, the conservatism is basically maintaining the status quo or compromising. That's what conservatism does, is maintain the status quo or compromise. Libertarian Party is basically, the conservatives are the true moderates, if you want to get technical. Because, yeah. So, yeah, libertarians are the true...
Yeah. I've also seen from a lot of people too, where, like, say for example, my father, he shows a lot of the aspects of believing, like, ANCAP stuff, but the reason why he'll never fully side with it is because of, like, there's so much of anarchy leads to violence, anarchy leads to blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Anarchy is chaos.
That is a myth. That is not true. But people are pushed that ever since they were a kid, and they don't want to believe. Like, one reason I've seen from where people just shut it off immediately is just because of that, which is why I kind of use the more abbreviated version than the actual thing, just because A is easier and B,
Yeah, that's why I like to go with the why I like to start with libertarians. Yeah, because it's just much easier to explain yourself as
even though it's a
libertarian, and they say, "Oh, you're that crazy group," and it's like, and then you can explain your principles without saying, "Yeah, I'm an anarchist," and that's because, yeah, exactly, and that's the way we got to look at things. Either say we're apolitical, or we're we're disenfranchised with the system, which is true. I mean, basically, we tell the truth. We just find different words that convey the same meaning, that we just don't like the state or the way things are going.
Words give it as much meaning as you give them, so you can pretty much choose whatever vocabulary words you want, as long as you're still conveying the same meaning and whatnot. It doesn't really matter what words or language you're saying it, as long as you give as much words as you give. I can't talk. Fuck. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I think you and I are hijacking the conversation, so maybe we should tone it down. Marianne, do you want to try and make a dedicated stream for just gradualism one day, and just all of us, this way we can all add into it?
I have to see about that.
Yeah.
The only reason I keep talking is just because when no one else is making a conversation, so I at least try to think of something, because I hate awkward silence. So I try at least saying something, and then I end up dominating the stream, which I'm sorry, I don't like being that person.
Yep.
But so Kitty, I know we already talked pretty much with like the parenting stuff and whatnot. Did you have any other conversation or goal or subject that you wanted to get into with this stream, or are we just gonna talk?
I know a topic if you guys want.
Sure.
Go ahead.
About the life of Karl Marx may be interesting to look into. Because
yes, it is.
I'm currently reading. I started reading yesterday Paul Johnson's Intellectuals, and in chapter 3 has a lot of good stuff on Marx. So I may read some excerpts from here, if you guys want to.
Yeah.
Sure. By all means.
So,
always good to read.
in all his Marx researches into the iniquities of British capitalists, he came across many instances of low-paid workers but he never succeeded in unearthing one who paid literally no wages at all. Yet such a worker did exist in his own household. When Marx took his family on their formal Sunday walks, bringing up the rear, carrying the picnic basket and other impedimenta, was a stumpy female figure. This was Helen Demuth, known in the family as Lenchen. Born in 1823 of peasant stock, she had joined the von Westphalen family, that is his wife's family, Mark's wife's family, at the age of 8 as a nursery maid. She got her keep, but was paid nothing. In 1845, the Baroness, who felt sorrow and anxiety for her married daughter, gave Lenchen, when 22, to Jenny Marx to ease her lot. She remained in the Marx family until her death in 1890. Eleanor called her, I think that's his Marx daughter, called her the most tender of beings to others, while throughout her life stoic to herself. She was a ferociously hard worker, not only cooking and scrubbing, but managing the family budget. When Jenny was incapable of handling, Marx never paid her a penny.
You're shocked?
Try and do
He
that
leached
slow
money
count.
off of other people.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's absolutely hilarious right there. Everybody else at least paid their people, but the fucker that promoted communism, who ended up raping that girl, if I remember right, yeah, newsflash for you communists. You also love Che Guevara so much. Guess what that fucker did? He killed people, innocent men, women, and children just because he could. He didn't,
but there's more.
He didn't need to have a reason. He just needed to have an excuse. And
There's-
your heroes are all like that.
Yeah, there's so much stuff there.
Douchebags.
Like, Marx borrowed money heedlessly, spent it, then was invariably astounded and angry when the heavily discounted bills plus interest became due. He saw the charging of interest essentially as it is to any system based on capital, as a crime against humanity and at the root of the exploitation of man by man, which his system was designed to eliminate. That was in general terms, but in the particular context of his own case, he responded to his difficulty by himself exploiting anyone within reach. And in the first place, his own family. Money dominated his family correspondence. The last letter to his father, from his father, written in February 1838, when he was already dying, reiterates his complaints that Marx was indifferent to his family except for the purpose of getting their help, and complains, "You are, quote, you are now in the 4th month of your law course, and you have already spent $280. I have not earned so much throughout the entire winter," end quote. 3 months later, he was dead. Marx did not trouble to attend his funeral. Instead, he started putting pressure on his mother. He had already adopted a pattern of living off loans from friends and gouging periodic sums from his family. He argued that the family was, quote, quite rich, end quote, and had a duty to support him in his important work. Apart from his intermittent journalism, the purpose of which was political rather than to earn money, Marx never seriously attempted to get a job. Though he once in London, September 1862, applied for a post as a railway clerk, being turned down on the grounds that his handwriting was too poor. Marx's unwillingness. When I finish the paragraph. Marx's unwillingness to pursue a career seems to have been the main reason why his family was unsympathetic to his pleas for handouts. His mother not only refused to pay his debts, believing he would then simply contract more, but eventually cut him off completely. Thereafter, their relations were minimal. She's credited with the bitter wish that, quote, Carl will accumulate a capital instead of just writing about it, end quote.
So basically, Karl Marx was an economic illiterate with zero self-awareness.
Yes.
Well, not only that, the guy sounds like he was an absolute monster. Because look at Selfish Monster. Look at exactly what just happened here. The guy lived a life being parasitical on everyone else. and stealing from everybody else, not wanting to pay anything back and expecting everybody to hand him shit for free. The guy was selfish beyond measure at this point. And what did he do? All of his writings are about how he's the victim. Basically, he just he attempted to get into economics when he was playing cultural Marxism from the very fucking beginning.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, look at his thing. Destruction of the family. What the hell did he do to his family?
Right.
Not paying, stealing from people, stealing the means of ownership from the people. What did he just do to his maid and the girls he raped later on?
There's there's so much stuff in here I could mention, but like at least there's of course his when his family when his father and mother died, he became fully dependent on Engels in 1840 and became dependent on him until his financially until his death. So that was his main subject of exploitation. Naturally,
he is an exploiter. That's just what is it? When you put the blame on not shifting the blame, projection.
Pinning.
Yeah.
But everything he just wrote about is projection.
Yeah, and like he won't tolerate any kind of criticism in the least. Like when you know how he didn't actually finish Das Kapital. Like Engels wrote the whole third one and finished the second volume when he didn't Marx didn't complete it before his death. So when Dr. Ludwig Kugelmann advised Marx and said that like if you organize your life a bit better, maybe you'll probably get Das Kapital finished pretty soon. What was the response by Marx? Verbal abuse and shutting him out of his life completely.
You know, the funny thing about Engel, I remember this story. Engel, his wife passed away, and the only thing Karl Marx cared about was the free money.
Yes.
Where's the compassion, communist?
Sorry, Carl, but in this universe we obey the laws of thermodynamics. You moron.
Like and even Engels reported of Marx's leadership of the Rheinische Zeitung, like the newspaper they were going on about, right? Marx was in the leadership of that organization, right? And Engels reported that he was basically he was driving that organization basically like a simple dictatorship.
Wow, what a shocker!
Yeah, I know, right? Behind every
Carl was
socialist
such an
is a
asshole.
dictator.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, she was. She said, "Be right back," so she'll be back soon.
Oh.
But basically, like, and he was like a vehement racist and anti-Semite as well. Which is
hilarious considering his heritage.
Yeah, I'll bring up some quote. This is pretty insane. So, like, he had a daughter called Laura, and Laura got a husband with Cuban blood. And what did Marx call this husband? Negrillo. I'm not kidding.
Well, back then that word didn't have the same connotation it does today.
Yeah, but
honestly, getting offended over a freaking word is like, seriously, come on.
But the next one is a lot worse, I promise. Like, Look at this. You guys know Ferdinand Lassalle, the German socialist Ferdinand Lassalle. So basically, he called Ferdinand Lassalle a Jewish N-word, and he wrote to Engels in 1862 and wrote about Lassalle. And he said, "It's now perfectly clear to me that, as the shape of Lassalle's head and the growth of his muscles indicate, he is descended from the Negroes who joined in Moses' flight from Egypt. Parentheses, unless his mother or grandmother on the father's side was crossed with an N-word, and parentheses. This union of Jew and German on a Negro base was bound to produce an extraordinary hybrid." End quote.
I love how
what a bunch of pseudoscientific bullshit.
I like the phrenology there.
Yeah.
Carl certainly was a master of pseudoscientific bullshit.
Yeah, and he used out-of-date sources, he misquoted newspapers like the Morning Stars, and he fabricated quotes from figures like Adam Smith.
Why does none of that surprise me?
Right.
And yet, the communists don't even know their own damn history. Like, what the hell?
No, they don't.
Hey, Kitty.
At least the Proudhonian communists, at least you can give them the benefit of the excuse of the doubt.
Hey, Kitty. I'm gonna be probably leaving soon, so I was just wondering how much longer the stream was gonna be and debating whether I should leave now or just stay, depending on how much longer you want to do this.
If you gotta leave, go ahead.
Yeah, but if you guys are gonna stay for like 10 to 15 more minutes, I might as well stay. Or if you guys are gonna leave for like another hour, then I'm probably just gonna go.
Okay.
Actually, I am gonna go anyway. So see you guys later. I just wanted to share that one topic with you originally and just got.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. All right, later, Malin.
No, now it seems to work. Yes.
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Problems.
That.
I might know a better way to get it, so I don't. But it's that is for testing, I think, before. But there might be a way so that I don't need to use the mute button on the Google Hangouts. Then
But another interesting matter is that there are actually a lot of quotes or phrases that Marx is known for, but which actually he didn't come up with. Like, you know the saying, "From each according to his ability, from each according to his abilities, to each according to his needs." That was actually not Marx. That was Louis Blanc. Yeah, and Louis Blanc. He was an earlier socialist. I think it was French. I'm not sure. Phrases like "the workers have no countries," "the proletariats have nothing to lose but their chains." Johnson says that comes from a certain Heine. He says the last name is Heine, but I'm not sure about the first name. Religion is the opium of the people was also by Heine, apparently. And from Karl Schapper, "workers of all countries unites," and "dictatorship of the proletariat," that was from Blanquet. But he had that was like the main phrases that he's known for, right? But he came up with some of his own, like in politics, the Germans have thought what the other nations have done. Quote, "religion is only the illusory sun around which man resolves until he begins to resolve around himself." Another, "bourgeois marriage is a community of wives. The revolutionary daring which hurls at its adversaries the defiant words, 'I am nothing and I must be everything.' Like who? Not many of these are known, but the others, like they are the main ones that he's known for, right?
Yeah.
So quotes he's famous for, he wasn't the original one to say it.
Exactly.
So, wow.
He was a big fraud. Basically.
Wow.
And of course, we know that he knocked up his maid, was abused, and starved half of his kids.
Ouch.
I'm thinking of a question. I think seen claims that the whole, I think if it was the Communist Manifesto, that all of it, that there have been authors who have basically written exactly the same book. Do you know anything about that? Though any of you know anything about that? Is there truth to that, or?
To the Communist Manifesto?
Yeah, I wonder something like that, like a whole book, like was written. The whole book.
Yeah. Or in other words, you're saying the claim is that the Communist Manifesto was a plagiarization of some other works.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
I don't say I do.
Nope, never heard of it, but
I haven't heard about that.
Very possible. The way things are way this trend's going. And communists like to make the claim that there's this thing called intellectual property. Oh wait, no they don't.
Intellectual property is a spook.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the spooks.
Well, that's one good thing about communists.
Stirner.
It doesn't look like they believe in intellectual property.
Yeah. No. Stirner is superior to Marx.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectual property and private property are two separate things, of course.
Yes.
See. I'll look up the claim about plagiarism in the Communist Manifesto.
All right.
That would be interesting to know, because if that's the case, it really shows. That's actually rather insulting to Karl. That really makes a mark on Karl Marx.
Yeah.
Frick. Well, I made a mess. I'm picking that up.
I found something. Some passages in the manifesto were lifted from Victor Considerant and other writers somewhat less committed to the idea of capitalist quote progress end quote than Marx himself. Perhaps Marx invokes pre-modern values when he's copying French sources and denounces them when thinking on his own. In any case, the incoherence cannot be easily wished or explained anyway. Explained away.
Sounds like plagiarism to me.
Yep.
Wished I had talked about that in My Karl Marx special.
Well, it's your first time hearing about this, right, sir? It certainly is for me.
Yeah.
Well, plagiarism or not, it's a garbage manual. Anyway.
No kidding.
Yeah. It's
But it,
a really
yeah,
insane read. That's what I'd say.
And
Literally.
another thing to say about plagiarism, it's as long as I think what's good with the Creative Commons is that you can you give credit to the one who's actually done the work. That's
yeah. Yeah, the problem is that it's state enforced, and can it exist without state? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that as well.
I too. And wasn't it listed within the planks of the Communist Manifesto that it was that advocated for something to be enforced by the state?
I have a copy of it, but I don't remember exactly what it said about the state involvement. But I think it was something of like. But something that's quite absurd is that like when you discuss with like communists and they talk about and if we mention some quote by Marx and it include like which included the state and the like, right? Then they say. Then they propose that, like, oh, it's silly, you. Marx didn't mean the state in that sense. He meant like state of mind, and like, why does that make sense in that context? Like, can you provide me with a reference and like show me the context? Like, that doesn't sound right, right?
Oh, I remember having that sort of similar conversation with someone in the YouTube comments, like the destruction of the family union. And I was like, no, that's not what he meant. It's meant that to fix the family, like
right.
Yeah.
To fix something to fix the family. And you're like, oh, that is sexism, and like the wives are just supposed to stay in the kitchen and all that.
Yeah.
Freaking mental tap dancing of the commies. It's hilarious to see.
Yeah, Per Bylund got a new article out from his institute on the problems with anarcho-communism. So that was pretty good.
Cool. All right. Any other topics that you guys want to bring up?
Well, I've got one, but I want to save it for my show.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to preview it or something?
Or
just
you guys.
Or brief synopsis or something.
Do you guys see my tweet where I said that I'm getting ready for some heat here. You guys see my tweet where I said minarchists are not socialists.
Minarchists not socialists?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll look.
What's your at?
I'm sorry?
What's your at?
And voluntarist. Oh, man.
I'll look in here.
Also, Hoplo had not on the same subject, though almost.
Oh yeah, he did a video on Minarchy.
Yeah, he did. However, he also had tweeted something lately. I believe it was yesterday. Sort of related to this, though not quite. He also had a thread going on, same as me. So.
Oh, I see. Well, I wouldn't say all. I wouldn't go to say that all minarchists are socialists, or all minarchists aren't socialists. I think it's a mixed group.
Yeah,
depends on what you mean, right? Because it's like socialism described as commonly strictly defined as like the majority of the means of production are in the hands of the state, right? But sometimes it's used instead like when the state has the means of production in this industry, then there's socialism in this industry. That's pretty much how it is used in that way. And with minarchism, then we could say like it's socialism in security, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And in law, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. You guys know who Turd Fling Monkey is, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thinks that he's nailed anarcho-capitalism to the cross, though. As far as I'm concerned, he has no freaking clue what he's talking about.
No, he doesn't.
And in my opinion, his campaign against anarcho-capitalism is a bit pathetic. I mean, he's literally wasting everybody's time with it. And besides, I think a minarchist at the very least should at least be a bit more open-minded about anarcho-capitalism, like Ron Paul is, like Julie Borowski is.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the very least. I'm sorry?
Would you say that any press is bad press in this? Like, if people mention anarcho-capitalism, they've at least mentioned it.
Oh, yeah, and that brings that brings me to make a point. Yeah, turd-flinging monkey. He's like, oh, society's gynocentric. Everything, the courts, everything is biased in favor of women. Yeah, why do you think we're anarchists? Without Globbermint, who would fuck up the courts and whatnot?
Oh, I remember in one tweet I had with Turd Fling Monkey was he was saying, "But Nate, you're talking about dangerous freedom," and it's kind of like, well, I'd rather have dangerous freedom instead of safe slavery.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to give up, your freedoms and natural rights for the sake of security, well, fuck you. You don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you didn't deserve the freedom in the first place if you want to sacrifice it for a little bit of security.
Yeah.
Preaching to the choir.
Of course, there's another minarchist that I cannot stand, and that is Sticks at Hexenhammer 666.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sticks and Hammer. He's quite pathetic. He's a joke. And Veteran Mountain Man, gotta mention him too.
Oh, every time. I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he ignores anything and everything that contradicts his narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like every statist ever.
Yeah, and he tried to say that he didn't have a narrative. He says, "Oh, I was drawing my points from history and philosophy."
Well, we draw our viewpoint from history and philosophy as well, and we
And
came to a different
logical
conclusion.
reasoning.
That too.
Yeah.
Every time I hear these minarchists who are campaigning against anarcho-capitalism, every time I hear their arguments, it makes me want to go to a wall and pound my head on it. You remember that meme where there's this nerd or something? He goes up to like the door frame or something, he starts pounding on it, and then the Thomas the Tank Engine theme song is playing while he's doing it. You guys seen that meme?
No, I haven't.
Reason has used it in his response to Amos Yee. Or Amos Yee. There were several times where he's like, "Did you just debunk your own argument?" Yeah, I feel this way when stupid arguments are made.
Yeah.
So, I was like, well, I feel this way when minarchists try to campaign against anarcho-capitalism, because they have no freaking clue what they're talking about. They don't even bother to read a book by Rothbard or whatnot.
Or Spooner, etc.
Well,
Spooner,
exactly.
yeah.
Or not even look at the two court cases where police aren't they don't have the duty to serve and protect.
They really don't.
But we want to. You guys want to get rid of police? No, we want to privatize police. There's a difference.
Yeah.
We're telling police officers there's a better job for you.
Yeah, it's called private security.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Get a real job.
Yeah,
get a real job, please.
But private security is just mercenary stuff.
Look at the mirror.
Says the person who has never been in it.
How come in places where there's private security instead of police, how come in those places crime is down?
Yeah, exactly.
I can attest to it.
How come private security outperforms the police in numbers and performance?
Yeah.
Like seriously, it's just a matter of business practices is the main reason why private security works so much better.
Bro, he actually has experience in private security.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the private airport security at San Francisco outperforms the TSA. There's shorter lines.
Same reason.
There's shorter lines. The people there are work for the private airport security. They're nicer. They're not wasting your time. They're not harassing you.
And they're not touching you in funny places.
And they're not putting hands inside little kids' pants either.
Ew, that is... Yeah, that's disgusting gay shit. Miss me with it.
Oh, it's not. It's worse than gay. It's pedophilia. Just saying.
Yes.
Oh, it is. Pedophilia. Miss me with that gay shit.
But we have to do it because those people are probably terrorists.
Yeah,
95% failure in security tests.
Kids go around screaming about blowing up the snack bar.
Oh, so this little kid is planning on blowing up the country? You got any proof of that?
You can see it in his eyes.
So you think that this kid from, say, Bowling Green, Kentucky, is going to blow up the country? Some random kid from that town is going to blow up the country? Are you serious? Or this woman in her 90s who is confined in a wheelchair, who barely can do anything. You think she's a danger to the country?
Detained. Indefinitely detained.
What?
Indefinitely detained.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and hopefully Darkon will be back on my show. Been a while.
Yeah, it has.
But it's like even if that little kid was a terror, potential terrorist, I mean, they won't. What shall I say? No matter if it's a state takes care of it, they won't stop people from being able to smuggle things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember once. I'm sorry?
I was about to make a snide comment about the TSA being security theater.
Yeah.
Because seriously, they don't do security. They're just actors. That's all they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember one time I remember a story where there was this one guy who was at the TSA, and then they were going to do a pat down on him, and then he told the TSA, "I will have you arrested if you touch my junk."
That guy had balls.
I think his flight. I think he missed his flight as a result, and his luggage ended up going with the plane.
Terrible.
I hate that part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, guys, I just saw something on Twitter. Like it seems that New Zealand has banned certain books from being shipped into the country as a result of the shooting, including Jordan Peterson's book.
Oh.
And what book would that be?
Like 12 Rules for Life, I suppose.
What?
Yes, it is. It does. Or Whitcoll's, Jack Posobiec just tweeted about this. The mail is from Whitcoll's customer service, and it says like, "Hello, thank you for contacting us. Unfortunately, 12 Rules for Life is currently unavailable, which is a decision that Whitcoll's has made in light of some extremely disturbing material being circulated prior, during, and after the Christchurch attacks. As a business which takes our responsibilities to our communities very seriously, we believe it will be wrong to support the authors at this time. Apologies that we're not able to sell it to you, but we appreciate your understanding." So basically, book companies just stop providing books to people just because guilt by association, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Just about, let's see. Just shifting gears here. Just want to mention, I'm 10 days away from David Friedman appearing on my show.
Nice.
So,
congrats.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. It's a shame I can't make it because I work during the day.
well, I intend to have him on again, so there'll be another opportunity. And I will try to have him on a day that you do not work.
All right.
So, unfortunately, he wasn't available on Saturday. We tried, but so yeah. Crow, you did confirm that you will be joining us?
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. And Hoplo is thinking about it, so we'll see in the next 10 days.
All right.
I love Hoplo's commentary. I just enjoy listening to his voice. It's so.
Yeah, Hoplo's great. He's
Minarchy is a plague.
Informative. Yeah.
Minarchy is a plague. As you may well know, anarcho-capitalism is far more superior to minarchy.
Yes. Of course. You did a great voice impression.
Oh, that's because I'm Hoplo. No, I'm kidding. This is me undercover as him. No, I'm kidding. No. Is that his actual voice, or is that an alternative?
It's his actual voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
I know he's from somewhere in the U.S.
Oh.
I forget where. I think at one point he lived in Vegas. I don't know if he still lives there or not.
When I told him that David Friedman was coming on to my show, he was like, "Wait, hold up! David Friedman's coming on your show? That's awesome!"
That's great that he got excited and that he wants to be there.
Yeah, Esoteric Entity really started making noise when it was announced. So
cool.
So he'll be joining us too.
Of course, sure.
Oh yeah, I can't do it without him. Filthy Heretic will be joining us. So the Volunteers Consumer, Corey and Night Shift, of course, will be joining us. Wonder who else? Who else is joining us? Let me see. Let's see. I did try to get my 2 cents, though. Unfortunately,
Aww.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, Tom and Camp will be joining us too.
Cool.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, I see Meg is back.
Yeah, I just decided to say hi. I haven't started my work yet.
Oh.
Well, hi.
Hi.
Yes, Nate updating about the David Friedman special he's really hyped up about, and I don't blame him.
I never thought I would get to talk to the guy. Never thought I would get a chance to.
I can't find it.
You come true.
All right, you're gonna say something, Stefan?
Yeah, I can't find anywhere what state he was born in or anything like that. But he did go to the University of Chicago, got a PhD in theoretical physics, and is now a professor of law at Santa Clara University.
He's retired.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, probably.
Are you guys fanboying again?
We always are.
Well, what's funny is that What's funny is that David Friedman lives in the same area that I do.
There's a lot more people in California than I thought there would be.
Who is David Freeman?
The son of Milton Friedman.
Oh.
Though Milton Friedman was a minarchist, as you probably know. David, on the other hand, is an anarchist.
Yeah. Yeah, you should probably ask him about that. Like how with such a father, like he ended up with the final logical steps, like which influence, or whether he thought out the logical consequences himself, such as Eric July did.
Yeah.
The only thing I fear is the fact that, well, in my particular family, there's a very big clash between my socialist family and my capitalist on my my dad, me, and whatnot. So whenever we have like family stuff and whatnot, they always ruin the family events because they always bring politics, and they know that my dad's against it, and they bring it up anyway. And just one, stop bringing politics in family. But secondly, the other thing I fear is that I really hope they don't have that awkward conflict within their family, because mine does, and it sucks ass. It's really fucking annoying when my grandfather brings up his stupid shit, and of course my dad has to debunk it. But anyway, that's a tangent.
And Camper Kitty, we have time to talk after the stream.
Sure. Thinking about ending it right now.
Okay.
Right, one comment, like an update on the news. Zealand thing about books, regarding books like Whitcoll's like banned Jordan Peterson's book, but guess what book they haven't banned
What book
yet?
is that?
The absolute worst book you could possibly live up there.
Communist Manifesto?
And what do you think that is? No, it's worse than that, actually. God's sake, it's Mein Kampf.
Oh.
Oh, they haven't banned that?
No, not.
Wow.
But Peterson's book, that is the real issue. It's insane.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, let's go into thank yous. Thank you to Meg, Crow, Nate Volunteris, Arcanu, aka Gray in the Field, Victor, Stefan, Malum, Sarah, who popped in a couple of times. Thank you to Magnus, my friend Magnus, who showed up in the live chat, and Jeff Baum, who provided some very interesting points on the main topic earlier. So that was cool of you to join. Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.